pitch-perfect delivery of Premier League football.
Game day. The epicenter of world-class football coverage.
Oh my word!
Game day exclusive.
On Talksport.
Good morning, I'm Reshmin Chowdhury. Welcome to the first Game Day exclusive of the new Premier League season. What a feeling to be back. As I walk over the Ken Fryer Bridge towards the Emirates Stadium, the familiar sights and smells fill the air. Sizzling onions from the burger vans, brand new red and white Arsenal strips on the backs of fans making their pilgrimage once again. Last season, this ground at times was a frenzied cauldron. It saw moments of pure joy.
Nelson on the edge of the area with the first time shot! Oh my word! Scenes at the Emirates!
But also agonising heartbreak.
Arsenal 0, Brighton 3, and this, you feel, is where Arsenal's title challenge comes to an end.
So near, yet so far. But there's fresh optimism abound.
Matchday scarves, cash or card, matchday scarves.
New faces adorn the red and white scarves which hang from the sellers' stands. Timber, Havertz, Rice.
Declan Rice is going to go all alone! Oh my word! That is a brilliant goal!
You only get one career, and at the end, you want to be determined on how many trophies you've won. With all the competitions we're going into, there's one aim, and that's to win.
Steve Cooper's Nottingham Forest will aim to dash that renewed hope this afternoon. But 20 years on from the Invincibles, and with new blood in their ranks, could this be the year for the Gunners? Back here at the Emirates, the excitement is building. Away supporters are beginning to flood the concourse. The feverish Forest fans are in full voice. They are in the Premier League, and they are here to stay. What a season we have ahead. A titanic tussle for the title.
They ain't giving up this title race without a fight. That is 100% sure.
An open race for Europe.
Oh, what a goal! What a wonderful goal from Marcus Rashford. Newcastle United are a Champions League club again.
A desperate battle to beat the drop.
And Luton Town are back in the big time.
It's McBurney! It's 2-2!
All the drama, all the passion.
Manchester City have won the title.
The treble delivered.
And there's just one place to hear it all without paying a penny. Make Talksport your home of top-flight football this season. Because the Premier League is back. Bring it on. Oh, if that doesn't get you in the mood, I don't know what will. Hello and welcome to Game Day Exclusive. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury. We are live on Talksport, bringing you your Saturday fix of Premier League action once again. We're back, and it feels so good. We kick off at the Emirates as last season's runners-up Arsenal take on the side whose victory at the City Ground in May sealed their fate, condemned them to second, and effectively handed Manchester City the Premier League title. Forest will be hoping for a less manic season this time around under Steve Cooper, especially on the road, while Mikel Arteta's men, having lifted the Charity Shield last weekend, will have their eyes firmly on the Premier League prize. How poetic then that they begin this campaign 20 years on from the start of that invincible season when they last lifted the league title. Well, luckily for me, I've got a couple of poets alongside me, a couple of lyrical geniuses, or genii as they may call it. I'm not sure. They're joining me today, Talksport's chief football commentator Sam Matterface, and the former Chelsea, West Ham and Benfica defender Scott Minto. And alongside Sam and Scott today is a man who's won trophies as a manager of Leicester and Celtic. He's managed Ireland in the European Championships, and he is a bona fide Nottingham Forest legend.
Despite the fact there's two World Cup winners here, actually, when it comes to the Champions League, used to be called the European Cup. I've won two of them. I'd just like to know how many you two have won.
We got the whole world in our hands.
John Robertson's goal has brought glory again to Brian Clough, to Peter Taylor, and brilliant Nottingham Forest.
And Leicester City have won the Coca-Cola Cup. And Martin O'Neill, the miracle worker, has given his team a major trophy.
It's another glorious moment for Leicester City. For the man with the Midas cut, Martin O'Neill. The season is over. The treble is won. Martin O'Neill's memorable achievements. Welcome another edition, the 10th Scottish Cup.
How lovely to hear all that, Martin. Look at that, your highlights, your golden memories. Great to see you and great to have you with us today.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
It's wonderful to... Oh, Martin, I can't. The mic. Sorry, you listeners can't see.
Right.
You didn't pick up a ball, at least. You picked up the mic.
Oh, well done.
Oh,
okay.
bless you.
Absolutely.
Bless you.
So, first of all, need to pick up the microphone for a start, otherwise no one hears. And secondly, thank you very much for that introduction. So many years ago, it's untrue. But listen, great days, I must admit.
Great days, and great to have you with us here as well. Sam, how you doing?
Oh, very
Scott,
excited
how
about
you doing?
the start
Great
of
to
the
have you
Premier
back.
League season. Scott and I did Sheffield Wednesday last Friday night. We were excited enough about that, weren't we?
Absolutely. Well, first you were sort of talking to us about wordsmiths, and I'm looking around to see, it's
Where are they? Well, I did see Steve Cooper down there, so maybe that's what she was referring to. But what a great game to start off with for us on a Saturday. Of course, we had last night, which was brilliant. Adrian was up at Turf Moor, and it was another great start for Erling Haaland. And then today, now Arsenal are looking to respond.
Indeed, and respond. They may well do, and this is what we're hoping for. A great game here at the Emirates. That is where we are today for a big match in the Premier League. But of course, there's a huge story on the other half of North London. Harry Kane this morning officially signing for Bayern Munich.
Are you okay?
Bring on the violins.
Are you okay?
I don't think I am, actually. Whilst I wholly support his move, I think for him, the level that he's at as a player, I think he has to elevate his status now. He has to move somewhere bigger, dare I say, and I am a Spurs fan, everyone knows that, and I've got a lot of stick for this, but I do wholly support his move. I think it will take him to the next level, the level that he belongs in. But honestly, Sam, I was saying to you this morning, I really feel like I've lost my little brother. Like he's gone off somewhere, and
Resh, can I just say, kick-offs at 12:30.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Where are the violins? No one's brought violins out.
We haven't really got time for you to mourn.
How ironic then that I'm here, right?
I think we should hear from someone who actually won the Champions League or European Cup a couple of times first and see what he thinks about it.
Yeah, if you want to win a European trophy, Bayern Munich's the place to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that,
done.
Yeah, somewhere along the way, I think you set out in this game as a player to try and win trophies. Eventually, you can earn a lot of money, and today's Premier League players do. A lot of average players earning a lot of money, and possibly not that bothered about whether they ever win a trophy or not. I actually think Harry Kane wants to do that.
Yes.
I think he absolutely wants to do this. He's given his time to Tottenham Hotspur every single year. There must be the occasional pang of jealousy when he looks across and sees possibly lesser players doing brilliantly at other clubs and thinking they can win things. So he has this opportunity now to go to Bayern Munich. I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but they have a chance. They have a chance every single year.
Every single year they're in it. While Spurs are playing to get in the top four, Bayern, whatever you want to say about the Bundesliga, when you look at someone's profile, say on Wikipedia, you look at the honours. Harry Kane, runner-up, player of the season, Premier League player of the month. But this is a player who is in a different league. He's in a different category, isn't he, to other players that you see. And to elevate, as I said, to elevate his status and be around and to be in a position to win those trophies, you have to be in a culture of winning, and that's exactly what he's doing at Bayern.
Exactly. A couple of years ago, Tottenham Hotspur got to the Champions League final. Seminal moment, I think, really. If they'd gone and won that, things might have been different.
I agree.
Really might have been different. But it wasn't to be. It didn't happen for him. He's got to this stage that people were... I think I've heard this in the way here, that people were talking about, I wonder would he want to have beaten the record, to have held the league record, the Premier League record. I just think he wants to win. He wants to win the big trophy, or he wants to have a go at it, and he has these opportunities now that Tottenham probably won't have for the rest of his career.
A big problem is for Tottenham how they replace his goals. He scored 43% of all Tottenham's Premier League goals last season. No other player scored a higher percentage of their team's Premier League goals last campaign.
Big shoes to fill, but again, there are some players who make a big exit and everyone else steps up, and this possibly can give the opportunity to other players, and James Maddison as well, in a position where he can feed the front players as well. You've got Son, an excellent goal scorer as well.
Yeah, while Alan Shearer's absolutely delighted, I think James Maddison would be absolutely gutted.
Then he looked over his shoulder and saw Erling Haaland.
Yeah, but Erling Haaland, I don't think will be in English football as long as it won't take long for him to hit those type of figures. But I think it's as good as a trophy what he's giving up to be the Premier League top goal scorer. I really do. So I respect him for it. I think it's right from the club's point of view. They're not selling to another English club. They've got a lot of money for someone who's turned 30, who's got 1 year left in his contract, and probably would have gone for nothing, maybe to one of his major rivals. So I think from Daniel Levy and Tottenham's point of view, it was the right thing. From Harry Kane's point of view, we wish him all the very best. Yeah. He's got the chance of winning, obviously, not just domestic trophies, but Bayern Munich is one of the biggest clubs in the world, and they have just got better.
Yeah, they have. I'm astonished that people diminish their value. I think it's incredible on the global stage. When you
and of course, Harry can win a trophy tonight.
He really could. How Spursy would that be? I'm sitting here in North London at the Emirates talking about Spursiness, and genuinely that is one of the most Spursy things that could happen. It could well happen. You'll find out, of course, if you stick with us here on Talksport throughout the day, which I'm sure you will be, and because, as ever, there are plenty of fantastic features and interviews coming up on Game Day Exclusive here on Talksport. Hello there, welcome back to Game Day Exclusive. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury. Welcome back to the Emirates. It's so good to have you all back here every single Saturday for your Premier League coverage. We kick off at 12:30 with Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest. That is on Talksport. Over on Talksport 2, meanwhile, we have live coverage of England against Colombia with Leanne Sanderson and Joe Shannon. Coming up next here on Talksport, though, we will have the team news from here at the Emirates. Hello there, you are listening to Game Day Exclusive live on Talksport. We are at the Emirates. It is Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest in the first 12:30 kickoff of the season. Let's get the team news. Here's our match commentator Sam Matterface. This is all thanks to Super 6.
Arsenal make one change from the Community Shield. Mikel Arteta hands out home debuts to Jurrien Timber, Havertz and Declan Rice. Gabriel came off in the Community Shield. So, is it a 3 with a box midfield, or will Thomas Partey drop into the defence? He did play at right back at some points last season. He can slip into a centre-half role and then move into midfield. There was a tactical analysis piece on the TalkSport website, talksport.com, back in June, which suggested Arteta might use a 3-2-2-3 formation. That's possible. Ramsdale is the goalkeeper at this moment in time. It's White, Saliba and Timber as the back three. Partey, then Ødegaard and Rice, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli and Nketiah, who leads the line. So interestingly, Eddie Nketiah, who stayed on the bench during that Community Shield, gets a start, a nod up front today. Nottingham Forest's last friendly was a 0-0 draw in Frankfurt, but it had been a pretty of a tough pre-season up until that point. It is the bulk of the team that played in that game. One big change is in goal, where Matt Turner, who was on the bench for Arsenal at Wembley last weekend, is back between the sticks for Forest and Arsenal this weekend. Taiwo Awoniyi, who finished the season strong, rolled his ankle against Leeds in pre-season, but is on the bench today, as is Musa Niakate for Nottingham Forest. They start with Turner in goal, a back three of Worrell, Bolly and McKenna. Aurier and Ola Aina are the wing-backs. Yates and Mangala are in the centre of midfield. Danilo plays in the number 10 position behind Johnson and Gibbs-White, who will lead the line today for Nottingham Forest.
Those lineups were brought to you by Super 6. Simply download the app Super 6, get your entries in before 3 p.m. today, and you could become a millionaire without spending a penny. That sounds quite nice, doesn't it? 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. I've got Martin O'Neill and Scott Minto alongside me. Now, Scott, you did watch Arsenal last weekend. You were at the Wembley for the Charity Shield. The defence looks a little bit interesting. Sam mentioned it. Partey potentially in a back four?
Yeah, honestly, we don't know. We're going to have a look in the warm-up, because I think there's a couple of different formations that Mikel Arteta can play. Sam rightly said, and it was a really good piece on the TalkSport website about the possible 3, and actually the numbers work out that they could easily do that with that box midfield. However, Thomas Partey has played at right back, so if they want to go to the sort of more conventional that we've been used to seeing them play, there's that option as well. Don't know. Maybe Steve Cooper's guessing as well.
And that would be a pretty decent position for Mikel Arteta to be in, wouldn't it, to keep the opposition guessing?
I think so, but sometimes you can start playing these little games beforehand. You're I think that you're more concerned about your own team, about what sort of positions they pick up. I think when you get onto a bit of a run, I'm not so sure that changing positions means a great deal in this sense. That I think that you can have an established lineup and think you can go into a 4. Then you think you can change it during the course of a game. Let's say a back 3 with two wing backs. There's all sorts of formations. In essence, I think that Arsenal have the confidence to not concern themselves too much about who plays where, but actually just say, listen, lads, we're out. We're starting this new season. What a chance here again. I was here 2 years ago for Arsenal's home game at the start of the season. They had lost to Brentford, I think, on the Friday night. So the following Saturday or Sunday, I came here to the Emirates against Chelsea, and they were absolutely woeful. So what a change in the 2 years.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely fantastic. So you've got to give the manager a great deal of credit, because I walked out of the stadium, well, it kind of reminded me of my really tough time at Leicester City, you know, where the crowd were in uproar.
Yeah.
So, and it's great to see it's been turned around. I thought Arsenal were fantastic last season. Yeah, listen, they fell short at the end, but I think that they'll gain confidence from that there. And actually also beating Manchester City last week in the Charity Shield.
It does something, doesn't it?
Absolutely does.
It's a lift. Puts them on the right path.
Yeah.
Resh, tactics are becoming more and more prevalent and different formations now. Ultimately, it's still about the players.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. But what Mikel Arteta would have done in pre-season and behind closed doors, as well as worked in it and in matches, is working in different ways. Now, it could go a 3, they could go a 4. It could go a 4 without the ball and 3 with the ball. We have that extra man pushing in, Thomas Partey pushing in. So I can see something like that happening. But, you know, Martin, obviously, he's been there, seen it, done it. He knows what it's like as a manager. You concentrate on yourself first, and that's what Steve Cooper will be wanting to do.
There is a tactical trend at the moment for the elite teams to use that box midfield, that extra man in the middle, to try and clog up that central area in the pitch, because they believe they can build through the thirds a lot quicker and advance up the pitch with more players. It also leaves you a little bit more protected if you lose the ball in terms of the other team counter-attacking.
I think that's absolutely right, Sam. Absolutely right. You feel as if you've got a little bit of strength in the middle of the field now, and I think that Rice will help that greatly. You know, he's an athlete, and he'll do these things, and also he's the first one that will get back into position again if they lose the ball. So you're absolutely right, and then you can have a look at situations then at the back for you. But I think Scott is absolutely right. There is a tendency to, I think, overplay in today's game now the idea of about a 3 or a 4. I think that what happens when you play a 3, and I know this. Let's say going back to my early days at Celtic and even at Leicester City, playing the 3 with two wing backs. The wing backs that I always had were attacking wing backs. So my problem was that when the ball was dropped into one of the channels, and centre halves, and I had actually 3 centre halves, you know, who that was their main position. There was a tendency for them not to come out so quickly because they didn't want to be exposed. So the 2 wing backs were doing an awful amount of work, you know, to get back, even though that their tendencies were actually to go and attack. So I think during Scott mentioned it again, pre-season, absolutely, Arteta will have thought about all of these particular things. He'll have thought about for players coming forward with the ball as well too. So yeah, listen, they'll have interchanged throughout the pre-season.
What you said about those wing backs is really important, isn't it? Because Timber and White, if they are playing in a 3, can get out to those channels because they're used to playing as full-backs as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, look, starting in goal, just a quick word on Nottingham Forest, because we do need to move on, but Matt Turner, you said, Sam, started on the bench for Arsenal last weekend, and he is in goal for Nottingham Forest today. A little bit of spice to that one. I mean, he'll definitely have something to prove, won't he, in this?
I would have thought so. He got bought in, didn't he, as the number 2, and he was expected to push Aaron Ramsdale because it was a time of change actually when he came into the club. Like, he's number 1 for his country, the United States of America, and he did very well, by the way, during the summer. But look, he's not as good as his feet as David Raya is, and David Raya's brilliant with his feet. And they've looked at that. They looked at the data about the long passes, the accuracy of the long passes. They think there'll be competition for him. I'm very perplexed about the deal. Look, Scott and I on the Premier League All Access podcast, which previewed the whole weekend.
Good plug, Sam.
Which is live.
It was a good listen as well.
Live on the Talksport app. We talked about it, and we were a bit sort of perplexed about the whole mechanics of the deal, bearing in mind that Arsenal are going to take him on loan. He's going to extend his contract at Brentford, and then they may or may not decide to purchase him at the end of next season. So Arsenal are getting a very, very good deal for that goalkeeper. But look, ultimately, it's more competition for Aaron Ramsdale. Turner, 4 clean sheets and 7 appearances for Arsenal. Yeah, you're right. He'll have a point to prove today.
Resh, I don't know how much you want to go or speak a little bit later about Raya going and possibly joining Arsenal. But in terms of Matt Turner, you know, he's almost gone from Arsenal number 3 Is he going to be the number one? Are they going to go for Dean Henderson? I could not imagine that Dean Henderson will sign for Forest unless he's almost, no player can guarantee a number one, but I'm sorry, he ain't going there unless he's had some kind of verbal with the manager and saying, yep, you're going to be number one. So what's the future there? I don't know.
The furore
he's
in the
a
last season.
Absolutely, he's a very good goalkeeper. He's a Premier League goalkeeper. He would suit Nottingham Forest. I don't think you can have two number ones as goalkeepers. I really don't. That's the one position where I think there's got to be a pecking order.
We are going to be talking about this in more detail. I'm kind of with you on that one. It's a difficult conundrum, but a lot of managers seem to be putting themselves right in the middle of it. Now, 20 years ago, Arsenal were preparing for a Premier League campaign which little did they know at the time would end with them unbeaten all season, an unprecedented achievement yet to be matched. So, are there any similarities between that side and the Arsenal team of today, who, like the class of 2003, are looking to bounce back from a title challenge where they had a huge lead only to throw it away in the final months? Well, the Arsenal fan and content creator Harry Seymour has been taking a look back at the Invincibles.
20 years ago, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal were heading into a new campaign. The season before, they'd surrendered an 8-point lead to lose the title to a club from Manchester.
Manchester United, champions.
Sound familiar? Well, I'd love a repeat of what happened next.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Going into the season, we're always very, very similar every year. Arsene Wenger was very good at getting the players fit. All he's probably said in tongue-in-cheek, really, was, this team could probably go unbeaten. That's how much he thought of the squad. Some of the lads were going, he's putting more pressure on us, really.
That's midfielder Ray Parlour. We got off to a great start, winning 4 of our first 5 games. Then came Manchester United at Old Trafford, and Ruud van Nistelrooy was on a one-man mission to dent our title hopes.
And Nistelrooy jumps into him now. Did Vieira kick out then? It looks as though Steve Bennett thinks that he did.
Martin Keown was our centre-back that day and had a fairly quiet game.
Van Nistelrooy was someone you couldn't trust on the football pitch. Getting Vieira sent off, and then it was like the Alamo.
Penalty against Martin Keown. The responsibility rests with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Oh, he's missed it! He has hit the bar!
I just saw that I reacted as I best felt fit.
But it's not finished yet. They're all around Ruud van Nistelrooy.
We kind of just gave him it.
A point gained at Old Trafford, and on we went. And as the season began to reach its climax, we needed just a point to win the league at White Hart Lane. You couldn't write it.
Arsenal are the champions in amazing circumstances.
We were kings of England again, but could we do the unthinkable? Here's Sol Campbell.
It was quite hard because some are kind of taking the foot off, others are let's crack on. Got through a couple of scares.
We still have 5 games left, and you can take the foot off the pedal. Arsene Wenger, that was his biggest job then, to say, right, mentally, we've got to keep focused because we've got 5 games left.
It was Leicester at home on the final day at Highbury. I was there, seated in the North Bank. We were 90 minutes away from immortality.
And looking for Paul Dickoff on the far post. That wasn't in the script, was it?
Half-time, we're 1-0 down. Arsene Wenger changed it at half-time, put Sylvain Wiltord on, we played 3 up front. By 72 minutes, we're 2-1 up, and we know we're going to go unbeaten, and it was a great moment.
History has been made, one of the greatest achievements since English football began.
The mighty Arsenal undefeated. The record eventually stretched to 49 games and has been unrivalled since. So, 20 years on, they couldn't do it again, could they?
By the time that team from 97 went unbeaten 2004, it was about building reputations. Now they're building it again, and everyone thought it was a soft underbelly. Well, that's not quite there anymore. That was something that doesn't happen overnight.
There were stages in the season last year where they probably dropped points at vital stages of the season. So they've got to learn from that, and they will learn from that. It's a very young, exciting squad at the moment, and I'm sure every Arsenal fan is very optimistic this season. So it'll be a very, very interesting and very exciting season for everybody this year.
I think it's way too early to make comparisons with regards to the two sides. I guess the feelings are similar in that there is an expectation around Arsenal again for the first time in a long time to compete for the Premier League title. That wasn't the case at the start of last season, where Arsenal were looking just to get into the top 4. So I guess there are some similarities, but you never know what's going to come in a football season, and that's what makes them so special.
Thank you very much, Harry Seymour, for that look back at the Invincibles. I'm here at the Emirates where the teams are out warming up. That is Arsenal, isn't it, to our left there? So they are on the pitch already. Nice sort of calm day here so far. Definitely the calm before the storm. I'm here at the Emirates with Sam Matterface will be commentating. I'm alongside Scott Minto and Martin O'Neill as well. Martin, you touched on it at the start, actually, talking about Arsenal and the progress that Mikel Arteta has made. And what's interesting about that is, you know, he was backed. He was fully backed. He had a crystal clear vision of where he wanted this team to go, what he wanted to achieve at the club. He took some very tough decisions with, putting some big names aside as well, and he's building something. He's either building something fresh or he's trying to emulate what we know from this Invincible side. I mean, if you had to compare the job that he's doing and the team that we have now, how do they match up to the Invincible side under Arsene Wenger?
Well, Richard, I don't think you can compare, because the Invincibles were exactly that. They were invincible and they win leagues, and they were a terrific side. This side is an embryonic team. It's doing really well, really great season last year, but they haven't won anything in the sense in terms of the league.
Yeah.
And while they have some exceptional players here, Saka, Scott was talking about Saka beforehand. I think he's a fantastic footballer. He's a fantastic
incredible
footballer.
talent.
And if he stays injury free, he's going to have a fantastic career. However, I just don't honestly think you can compare this side at this minute, primarily because they haven't won.
Yeah,
they haven't won.
Exactly. And that side was a very, very special side, wasn't it? I mean, Scott Minto, you look at, as we say, the progress that Mikel Arteta has made, and where the ambitions lie now for this Arsenal team. How good are they at the moment? You saw them last weekend, and they celebrated as if it was almost like the Champions League final. I mean, they really needed that win, didn't they? And they needed that boost, and they'll build from it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could throw a stat at you. I'm not really a stats type person.
Oh, you're not Sam Matterface, are you?
Not quite, but of the last 12 years, only one team has won the Community Shield and then gone on to win the Premier League.
Yes,
but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't mean anything.
It's just cruel, isn't it?
That's a really poor stat.
So
the Charity Shield. I
exactly.
played in that way back in 1978.
But Jose Mourinho counted it as
but that's my point.
Trophy.
But it's a plate, really, isn't it?
Oh, for heaven's sake! Listen, honestly, we won at Nottingham Forest. We beat Ipswich and I scored twice and got taken off by club.
Did you?
Yes, it did. Honestly,
brilliant.
Sorry, I just didn't want it. I wanted to throw that into young Scott, who probably wasn't even around at the time.
Thank you. I was most definitely around. Thank you for calling me young. Wrong side of 50, Martin. But no, my point is, it actually doesn't really matter what happened in the Community Shield. Yes, it's nice to have that kind of psychological, we beat you, and yes, they can turn around and say we've won, it's not a major trophy, but a trophy. I actually thought City should have seen it out. I thought they had a couple of chances, especially with Kai Havertz, and that's the problem for me in terms of this season. I want to say I think Arsenal can or will win the title, but I think goal scoring is the problem. But just going back to 20 years ago, the reason why Martin's spot on, it's been 20 years since they won the title, since that team, and you look at that team as well. Maybe Ben White in the future could be there instead of Lauren. Maybe I don't know, Saliba instead of Toure. Maybe Declan Rice instead of Gilberto. The only one I'd say right now is Saka instead of Freddie Ljungberg, who was an excellent player, by the way. And forget about any striker trying to get in front of Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry. That's never going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, they may live in those shadows, but they're trying to create new history, aren't they? And what a way to start the new season then. Arsenal at home here at the Emirates. They are taking on Nottingham Forest. That is coming up next. Kickoff is at 12:30, live and exclusive on Talksport. And this is Game Day exclusive on Talksport with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream the Premier League where every match matters, live for £26 a month for 12 months. No contract. Offer ends 3rd of September. Search Now Sports. Good afternoon. This is Game Day on Talksport. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury, and we are just under half an hour away from kickoff at the Emirates for Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. Let's get a recap of the lineup, shall we? All thanks to Super 6. Here's our match commentator, Sam Matterface.
Arsenal make just one change from the Community Shield. Mikel Arteta has selected, Eddie Nketiah to lead the line, and we're yet to find out whether or not it's going to be a back three or a back four for them today. Either way, they'll build up with more players in the midfield. Ramsdale is their goalkeeper. White, Saliba and Timber. Rice and Partey, Ødegaard and Havertz, then Saka and Martinelli behind Nketiah up top. Gabriel, by the way, is on the bench today. As far as Nottingham Forest are concerned, just the one change from their last pre-season friendly. They line up with 3 at the back. Matt Turner, who was at Arsenal, is now the Nottingham Forest number 1. He's in goal. Worrell, Bolly and McKenna. Aurier, Yates, Mangala and Aina. Danilo plays behind Johnson and Gibbs-White. Tayo Awoniyi is on the bench. He's looking to score in a 5th straight game.
Wow. OK, those lineups were brought to you by Super 6. Simply download the app Super 6, get your entries in before 3 p.m. and you could become a millionaire without spending a penny. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. Now, Steve Cooper is embarking on his 2nd Premier League season as the Nottingham Forest manager. Despite rumours around his future and the threat of relegation, he saw his side through his first campaign rather admirably. What have you made of the job he's done there, Martin?
Very well. He's done excellently. He's very popular as well, too. Probably the most popular manager since Brian Clough.
Or yourself?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I got 19 games with this owner, and if I'd known I was going to get 19 games, I wouldn't have bothered. I really wouldn't have bothered. However, forget it. So, Steve stepped in. They were struggling. He got on to a fantastic run and they got promotion. Now it's something that Nottingham Forest fans have been waiting for over 20 years for.
It's 23 years, wasn't it?
Well, 23 years. So now take it on from there. The side that got promotion would not have been good enough to stay in the league, so they needed some new players. And the players coming into the football club, they came in by the bucket load. You know, a manager wants new players. There's no question about that there. So I think the owner said, "Do you want new players? Yeah, you're going to have them.
We're going to give you what you want.
You're going to have them." And they were coming in on a daily basis. So suddenly now you're left with about 35 players, professional players who, certainly to begin with, all want to play. And you're left with this situation. Some of the players, I don't know this for certain, some of the players I'm quite sure may not have been Steve's choice. Yeah. However, okay, so you're left with them. They're on your watch. You have to deal with that situation. And eventually, through sheer weight of numbers, the one thing that I felt that Forest would have over other sides, you know, of that sort of calibre, were that if injuries were going to play a part during the course of the season, at least they had players that could come in. And that was, but remember, you're managing a team, but you're trying to manage a group of players who are sitting in the stand, not playing. So that is always a big difficulty. I think actually Arteta just mentioned it there, and I picked them up there saying that you have to manage not only the players that you have at your disposal, but the players who are not playing and who want to play. So anyway, getting into this situation now, I found it. I heard Steve speaking there where last season he had so many players he didn't know what to do with, and now he actually wants a couple of new players now. So I thought that was a really strange. The irony of it all. You know what? I think to myself, I probably did that myself. So at the end of it all, but they have a really bad away record. They've got to try and improve that there. They cannot just rely on home form at the City Ground. They've got to try and win games.
8 points on the road last season.
Is that right? Was it very, very poor?
Very poor.
And today, the start of a new season for them, they should be upbeat because of what happened at the back end of last season. But this is a tough place to go today, you know. And you know, the last thing you want to do is after 3 or 4 weeks not have a number of points on the board and feel as if you're going to go through the same sort of season again. But the one thing that Steve has, he has great popularity with the fans, and when there were times were tough last season, I actually believe that they helped them through.
Yeah, they certainly did. You're right, actually. And the City Ground is a fantastic place to go as well, as is the Emirates, actually. And we are going to come back to the more on this game in a moment. But Sam, could you just bring us up to date with some news we have from Burnley Football Club?
Yeah, a bit of breaking news from Burnley. They have confirmed the arrival of the French under-20 international Wilson Audebert from Troyes, League 2 club in France. He's a winger. He's only young. He's only 18 years of age, but he's signed a 5-year deal at Turf Moor. It's the 9th summer signing for Vincent Kompany's team. He did have a spell as a youngster at Paris Saint-Germain. Done quite well at Troyes. He's come onto the radar of Vincent Kompany and has now been acquired by Burnley Football Club. Just a quick word on the crowd for this game today. Expected to be a sellout. Lots of people travelling down this morning. I was on the train with quite a few of them coming into London this morning. But one of the things I've noticed walking around outside, and I've just been out into the concourses, is it's very, very packed in there, people watching the England-Colombia game. There's these big signs everywhere saying that from this season you can only enter the ground with your digital season ticket on your phone. No longer can you use paper tickets or cards or anything like that. It's all digital. As a result of that, I understand there is a bit of malfunctioning going on as people are trying to get in the ground and people are stuck outside. So there's a lot of people still coming to this ground today that are struggling to get in. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of alleviates itself between now and kick-off.
Yeah, exactly. These things do happen, don't they? And you can get delayed getting into the ground as well due to those sorts of malfunctions. So we'll see how that goes. But great. Luckily, I'm in very decent company if there are any delays to kick off. We're not anticipating it, and I'm not saying that it will happen. But I do have alongside me Sam Matterface, Scott Minto, and Martin O'Neill. Let's talk a little bit more about Nottingham Forest, as we were with Martin there. We're going to hear from one of Cooper's players now, the Forest midfielder Joe Worrell. He's been speaking to Talksport about his boss.
The fans adore him. The players really, really keen on the manager. The way he is with the different people and around the club. He's brought the feel-good factor back to Forest, as well as Premier League football back to Forest as well. So for the owner, Mr. Marinakis, to back him at such a crucial stage of the season where they were dropping like flies around us, managers like you say, and it was a really, really brave decision and something that the owner deserves massive credit for, but also the manager to be brave and keep sticking to how he wanted to guide the team and kind of like block out the noise, if you will. It was massive credit to everybody involved, and ultimately it got us over the line, and it certainly went down a storm with the fans.
Yeah, really interesting point there from the Forest midfielder Joe Worrell about Evangelos Marinakis, the Forest owner, because we did see managers losing their jobs at the bottom end of the table, but they played the long game. They stuck with Steve Cooper. It certainly paid dividends as well. Were you surprised at the time, Scott Minto? Did you think he might pull the trigger?
Well, yes, absolutely, considering the history he's got, and I'm sure that Martin would have loved it if someone like Dane Murphy was in charge then, who helped persuade the owner to say, look, give the guy time. That's what he needed. Martin didn't have that, I think wrongly so, but he was given it. And listen, as I say, with the history that he's got of sacking managers, and also what was going on around the Premier League as well, Forest are one of the few sides that didn't, that just stayed firm and say, we're going to stick this guy. I think the fans had a lot to play with that. When you think about where Forest were when Steve took over, I mean, absolute miraculous what he did last season.
He's a messiah there, and he always will be, won't he?
Absolutely. So, I think the owner understood the situation. The fans were 100% behind him. They still are now. And is very much a work in progress in terms of Forest. I still think it's very much try and survive.
Yeah.
But I do think they're a little bit lucky this season, where you've got not one but two sides that are going to struggle massively in Luton and Sheffield United.
You still think, even with sort of where they are now, getting into that second syndrome, that Martin, do you think it's survival or is it stability for the second season for Steve Cooper?
Right, there might not be that much difference in the two words, really. I think. I think that for Steve, I think Scott's made a really good point. A couple of sides who are coming up here might not have the strength and depth as well to deal with it. Nottingham Forest do have the numbers, they certainly have the physical numbers, so that's important for them. But I think that what they would want, and I think this would, I think if you're speaking to the Nottingham Forest fan, they probably wouldn't want to be going into the last 5 or 6 games of this season thinking, is it possible we can go down? But I think that most fans would probably take a stabilising position in the team if they were finishing anything between 10th and 14th or 15th.
That would be a good season.
I think that they would feel that was a good season, and that they would be starting to improve again.
There's someone else not a million miles away who thinks that would be a fantastic season, because I mentioned about two teams, Luton and Sheffield United. Person alongside me has said that Forest are going to be the third side to go down.
Oh, hold on, we did a season preview earlier in the week, which is available
How to make
on
yourself
YouTube.
Popular.
No, hold on. We all had to nominate 3 teams to go down.
Joking.
Now, listen, anyone who listens to our podcast will know that I I was the one last season saying that they won't go down. Nottingham Forest will not go down. I said that in September, and I followed it through, and I stuck to my guns even when I started to panic towards the end of the campaign.
He did,
that they were going down.
I bet he did.
But I stuck to it, and I said they would stay up. And I believe in Steve Cooper. I know Steve Cooper. I spent a lot of time following his teams with England when he was in the age groups.
Fantastic work.
But I just think, listen, I've seen him a couple of times this pre-season. They'll be dogged. If they can try and keep clean sheets, then great. They didn't score enough goals last season, 38 all campaign, and a lot of those came toward the end of the campaign too. So look, I just think he wanted more in terms of signings. He wanted more. I think he wants a left back. Ola Reina is going to play there today. He's predominantly a right back. I think if they do get a left back, then they'll switch him to the other side, because Serge Aurier, well, you never know what Serge Aurier you're going to get. And I don't think there's enough goals in the team at this moment in time. I'd love to be wrong, because I think Steve deserves every success, and I love Nottingham Forest. I love going there. I love the atmosphere that's created at the City Ground. But I just think it's going to be, out of all of the teams, if you have to pick any of them, that to me looks like a tricky season coming their way.
Has he dug himself out of that hole with a love? I'm not sure.
They lost 5-0 to Rennes the other day, and they were defensively woeful.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was pre-season. This is the real season. This is when it all gets serious. It is Arsenal against Nottingham Forest here at the Emirates. This is Game Day exclusive on Talksport. Kickoff is next. Here on Talksport, though, of course, it is our 12:30 kickoff. You may have heard some cheers there. Arsenal heading back into the dressing rooms, getting ready for kickoff at 12:30. And this one, well, it could be a tale of two goalkeepers.
Wish him all the best. He's a fantastic person. I think he's been really helpful. I think he's adored and loved by everybody here. Obviously, he's been given the opportunity to play more games, and at the end all of us made the decision that was the right move for everybody.
You soon get frustrated. The only time it works is if your other goalkeeper, who could be a number one's really young and he's learning and he's coming up, or in my case, I was really old and I was on the way down. So let's say Raya comes in, he gets his chance, he plays well, and then he gets taken out. He's upset. Let's say he goes in and he plays well, and then he keeps his position. Ramsdale's upset, and it's too difficult of a position to keep team spirit.
I have to try to have the best possible squad and the best possible balance, but I think it's nothing that you can isolate just with the goalkeepers, because if I talk to you about what the fullbacks feel with each other, or the centre backs, or the attacking midfielders, I'm telling you, it's no difference at all.
Yeah, this definitely could be an interesting one. As we say, a potential tale of two goalkeepers. However, Sam, you mentioned this point again about this electronic ticketing, and it seems that it may be affecting the turnout here in the stadium at the moment, because it's not even half full yet.
Breaking news, the match has been delayed by 30 minutes. The game will now kick off at 1 p.m. this afternoon.
Wow.
I just said to you, we've got 20 minutes or so. It's 21 minutes past 12. There is nobody in this ground. And we looked up, and we've just had it confirmed in the last few moments that the match between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest will be delayed by 30 minutes. It will now kick off at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We will be here. You said you were in good company with Scott and Martin. The good news is you get to talk to them for a lot longer. We were rushing through these items, but we don't need to now.
We don't
take
need
our
to
time
now.
because
Do you
we've
know
got
what?
till 1 o'clock.
Yes, we can absolutely breathe. We are at the Emirates Stadium, as we brought you that breaking news a short while ago. The game has been delayed. Kickoff is delayed until 1 o'clock here at the Emirates Stadium. That is due to a ticketing error. Fans can only enter the stadium through electronic ticketing now, and it seems as though there's been a technical error coming into the stadium. And you know, I remember this happening at a game. I think it was Crystal Palace last season as well. There was a delay in that match. I feel it was something similar as well. It's kind of not what you want to see in the first game of the season. Surely this would have been ironed out by now, Scott Minto.
Resh, look, I'm no IT expert, trust me. I mean, I'm probably fifth in line in the house in terms of trying to get things sorted. Right, so first and foremost, I think to ask computers, which I think the world's gone mad anyway, the way that, you go local shopping now and there's hardly anybody working because all computers are, you've got to go here and on the basket on here.
Can't believe you don't like self-checkout.
No, I don't. I really don't. And
right, Grandad.
Self-checkout doesn't like me either. I just think that, you want people, you want to socialise, you want people to be having a living and being able to work. But let's forget about my shopping now. Let's just, in terms of here, we're relying on computers where if it goes wrong like this, the first game of the season, Premier League going around the world, not just for Talksport but around the world, and now we're delayed for 30 minutes. On top of that, people like me, who are not very good with IT, might not be able to download, and therefore might actually be thinking, do you know what, I don't even want to go to a game, because you've got to do it this way. You've got to think about the older generation as well as the younger generation.
Yeah, indeed. And
I wonder, was he referring to me there? But
no, me.
He didn't know you. He wasn't looking at you, Martin.
Scott. Yeah, we'll add on a few years after Scott, and you'll get to me. But I have this. I feel exactly the same with Scott about these things with Scott. I think that new technology has come in. My daughters keep telling me, Dad, you've got to get into the real world, and that's fine, absolutely fine. But there's been no courses for people of a certain age to go and learn these particular things, and I'm
Martin, I'll try.
Hold on.
I would say I'll try and look for one, but I won't find it on the internet. But let's do it, you and I.
You'd have to get someone younger to try and find it for you.
Absolutely. And I'm in total agreement with Scott to go and find those self checkout machines, and things like this here. They can become a bit difficult, and I don't like to hear the noise coming back. You have pressed the wrong button.
Whoever created self-checkout is listening to our program thinking, my God, that was my creation. Look how efficient I've made this world.
I'm all for new technology, I really am, but let's not throw the human element out of it.
I mean, it's certainly not working today.
Okay,
look at this ground. There's
Sam.
no one in here.
There's at least 35,000 people waiting outside to get in.
Yeah.
So that might prove my point.
It does, and it's not a good look for the Premier League, is it? Whoever is sort of in charge of this particular area, it's not worked. It's not working today. I mean,
TV will still be able to show it, despite the fact that there is absolutely no doubt with the additional time that's going to be added on, we'll be moving into blackout territory. But Adrian Durham might have to wait before he comes on to bring you around the grounds later.
Yeah, indeed. I mean,
he won't like that.
We will not. We will see how this one pans out. But as you say, look, it's 12:30 now. The game should be kicking off, and the ground is not even half full. It is, it's not a great look for the Premier League. But look, let's talk a bit more about the game. It feels like ages ago. So much has happened since we last heard that little introduction into Aaron Ramsdale and Matt Turner, both at either ends of the pitch today. And actually, you touched on it earlier in the programme, Scott. You're talking about, does it work to have number one? Of course, the context of this is that Arsenal sold Matt Turner to Nottingham Forest. So even though Matt Turner started on the bench for Arsenal last weekend in that Charity Shield victory over Manchester City, today he is in goal for Nottingham Forest. How does it work? You talked about it, that it's impossible to have two number ones. I mean, for Matt Turner, look, this is a new move, a new lease of life, and he will get the chance. But again, there's possible tussle with Dean Henderson, and we'll see how that one goes. But with Arsenal, look, they've got Aaron Ramsdale, plays for his country. He plays such a high level. I think he's an incredible goalkeeper. But it looks like Arsenal are going to bring in David Raya from Brentford. Yes, they've got bigger competitions this season. They're in the Champions League, big fish to fry. They're going to want to be fighting on all fronts. In terms of dynamics, does it work?
Well, I'm interested in Martin's point of view here from a managerial point of view, but all I can say is from a playing point of view, and obviously I was an outfield player, not a goalkeeper myself, but I heard Brad Friedel say the same thing on Talksport a day or so ago, and so he kind of concurred with my thinking. You can't have two number ones as goalkeepers, in my opinion. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't understand the deal in itself. Was it Sam, 3 million loan?
Well, look, it's not finalised yet. So let's preface that. As far as we understand it, there's a loan fee, and then there is an option to buy at the end of next year. David Raya is going to extend his contract at Brentford, sign a loan deal with Arsenal, and then they're going to decide whether or not they want to buy him in the end of next year. Very, very odd. We had this conversation on the Premier League All Access podcast earlier in the week, which was this. Why would David Raya do that? I mean, why are Brentford so desperate to get him out of the building that they would accept a loan deal under those circumstances? I don't understand the reasons behind it.
For either side or just for Brentford?
There's got to be something else. I mean, I don't know whether it's FFP with Arsenal trying to spread the way that they spend their money in order to make sure that they limbo underneath it. That was something that was suggested on the breakfast show this morning with Natalie and Kath. Or whether it's something to do with the personality clash at Brentford. I know he wants to lead. I know he wants to try something different. Maybe he believes he's going to be the number one goalkeeper here, but he's got to get rid of Aaron Ramsdale.
He's not going to be the number one goalkeeper straight away.
Not straight away. No,
he's not. And if Aaron Ramsdale plays well, and if Arsenal win games, which we're expecting them to do, it could be a very long season for David Raya.
His shot-stopping numbers are really very good. He was certainly busy though, because he was playing for a team that conceded a lot more shots. 4.1 saves per 90 was more than any other first-choice Premier League goalkeeper in the league. He had a 77% save percentage, which was much better than any of his peers. Slightly different in terms of with the feet, he's more accurate from long balls. But ultimately it's very difficult to measure that against Ramsdale, because Ramsdale doesn't play long ball football, whereas David Raya was asked to have the ball, kick it long and be more accurate with it. That's not Arsenal's game, so comparing the two is very difficult in those circumstances.
Aaron Ramsdale had a really good season. Yes, he made some individual mistakes.
Community Shield, by the way.
He had a really good season, a really good Community Shield. He signed a contract at the end of last season as well. I just don't get it. I don't. Again, for me, it's about a number one. There's a pecking order with goalkeepers, and outfield players can be different. And of course, you can play in more than one position. You can't if you're a goalkeeper, unless you're Edison. You could probably play as a number 10. But Aaron Ramsdale will be unsettled by this. Yeah. And actually, he might make a few mistakes, and then David Raya might come in, but if he doesn't, then David Raya, who is a number one, is going to be sitting on the bench.
But would he have made those mistakes if David Raya wasn't breathing down his neck?
Exactly.
I don't think that's the question.
Quite...
How does someone respond to competition?
Absolutely. And Martin, that's what I was going to ask you in terms of, from a managerial sense, how does Mikel Arteta then navigate this situation? Because at the end of the day, you want your number one to be in top condition. You want competition for places. You want that's a dilemma that every manager wants. But equally, it can be incredibly unsettling, particularly in such a key position.
Right. As a manager, you are looking for, as Scott mentioned, a number one goalkeeper, a person who's going to be. Once you've made your mind up that you have a number one at your disposal, he is going to play your league games. There is a possibility of playing maybe cup matches with your other goalkeeper, but eventually when you go into the big games, you have a number one goalkeeper that you're relying on, unless he has a particularly dismal season. That's a different issue, but you have a number one goalkeeper. And I totally agree with Scott. If you have pretensions of being a big goalkeeper yourself, why would you want to move to a football club where you feel that the goalkeeper in front of you may not think he's better, but you know that he's going to be the number one? And as far as unsettling Ramsdale, I'm not so sure. I think if I'm a goalkeeper, I think I'm going to prove myself again. I thought he was excellent last year, just as you said. I thought he was excellent. I thought his position wasn't in jeopardy at all, and I am, like the rest of the lads, surprised at this sort of movement going around.
Do you know, it's interesting because Arsenal have been in this situation before when Bernd Leno and Petr Cech were both fighting for that number one position. I remember once, I'm not being funny, it was a really awkward interview. I went with BT Sport to interview the two of them together. I don't know why that was even suggested. And it was a very strange kind of chat. These are two top professionals, two players who feel that they deserve to be in the number one spot. And you just wonder why they would put themselves in that situation again, Scott.
I think for Aaron Ramsdale's point of view, he is the number one and he's been here, and I think he had a really good season last season. But David Raya, that's the one I don't really understand. And look, you have to be a certain type of person. You have to have extreme strength of character to be a goalkeeper. You hardly touch the ball and you might make a mistake, and then you hardly touch the ball again for the next 10 minutes, and your mind can play absolute, terrible things with you. But David Raya clearly believes that he's good enough. But if Aaron Ramsdale, go back to, starts the season well, which he will start the season, but if he starts it well, I don't see how halfway through a season Mikel Arteta can suddenly put David Raya in.
I just think we should reiterate there is a half an hour delay here today at the Emirates Stadium because of a ticketing problem and people getting into the stadium. Scenes outside the stadium about 20 minutes ago, must admit, looked horrendous. The amount of people that were on the concourse trying to get in through the turnstiles was a huge number, a huge backlog. We sent people out, I went out, Deck's gone out, our producer. Have a look at the situation. It is thinning out slowly now and we are getting more people into the ground, thankfully. Rain has started to come down, but because of the significant delay, Nottingham Forest have had to just come out once more after initially going in after their warm-up, have come out again for a second warm-up ahead of kick-off, which is now scheduled for 1 o'clock this afternoon.
It's really not what you want. Sorry, Scott.
No, I was just going to say, Sam, I'm just looking at the, it doesn't seem to be filling up reasonably quickly at all, and obviously we've still got over 20 minutes. I just wonder if it's still a massive problem and it's still like this in 20 minutes. Are they saying the game will definitely go ahead, or?
Well, it's the start of the season. I would be very surprised if it didn't. It is it's an irksome situation for everyone, especially with broadcasters around the world here, people coming in, trying to get in. I mean, imagine being a fan. First day of the season, kids, I can see a couple of kids actually, young kids, who are in the ground early, which is great. But imagine if that dad who's got his little girl on his hip there had to wait outside for 30, 40 minutes trying to get into the ground. It would have been an absolute disaster. And I'm sure that is the situation outside. Got to get the fans in the ground now.
Just from a broadcasting point of view, it's an absolutely terrible look for the Premier League. The first Saturday early kickoff of the season isn't going on time.
Look, I've got a good friend of mine who, would you believe, is an Arsenal fan. He's, practically like my brother from another mother, but he, we are opposite ends of North London.
So they all left you and gone somewhere else.
They've all gone, haven't they? He's a little brother as well. I asked him, what's it like getting in the stadium? He's in now. He said it was horrendous. He said the systems went down for about 15 to 20 minutes, and he was at right at the front, right by the turnstile. He said the crush was quite scary.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what you worry about, is the safety of the supporters outside the ground. Usually, especially here, by the way, this is a brilliant stadium. This is one of the best stadiums in terms of getting access in.
Exactly.
There's lots of transport facilities around. There's lots of things going on outside the ground, which means you can sort of slowly but surely come into the ground. The facilities inside are brilliant. But if you're trying to get in for the start of the season, there's 20 minutes to go and no one can get in the ground and the systems are down, that's a real problem.
Resh, communication in life is so important. I just hope the communication to those fans outside so they don't panic, so they don't start pushing, and then we know, obviously what could possibly happen there. So communication absolutely key here.
Absolutely key. It's such an unforeseen situation, isn't it? If you heard some clapping and some cheering, it's because, as Sam said, the Nottingham Forest players are out warming up. The Arsenal players have just emerged from the tunnel as well, again, to just warm up and get ready for kickoff. If you are just tuning in, sorry, Martin.
Sorry, no, I was just going to ask, I wonder, could Scott and I be excused, please, for about 20 minutes? Maybe we could learn about the Sainsbury's checkout.
We'll get on the internet, Martin.
Get on the. Do you know? Internet. Are you okay with the internet, Scott?
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm not that
Martin
bad, Rash.
knows,
I'm not that
doesn't
bad.
he? Martin
He calls
knows.
WhatsApp what's up, Scott.
My mouth is lazy. I can't. WhatsApp.
That's because he's into his R&B. What's up? If you are just tuning in to Talksport to hear Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, you should have been about 11 minutes into the game, but as we have been saying over the last few moments, the match has been delayed until 1 p.m. It's all due to an issue with e-ticketing and the system that's been introduced around the stadium. No one is allowed without an e-ticket, and that's caused lots of problems. Thousands of fans are still stuck outside the grounds, queues of them, and we're going to hear from some of them now. Our producer Declan McCarthy has been talking to some of the Arsenal fans outside.
Thanks, Richmond. Yeah, I'm just in the turnstile. I'm with an Arsenal fan here, Paul. Paul, could you just give us an idea of what's actually happening out there?
Well, they've changed the system this year, and we've gone from entering with our cards to entering by a phone, and it's complete madness. Everyone's outside. I've never seen queues like it. It's an absolute joke, They should have trialled this and made sure it worked before match day, because it's just not fair on people to be doing this, And
I'm assuming you're here with friends as well. There'll be family members out there. Just to explain to us, because we're inside the stadium, how long the queue is.
I've never seen a queue like it.
It's all people out there. You can't see any pavement anymore. It's just
Arsenal, Tottenham. I've never seen a queue like that ever outside the stadium. This close to kick-off ever.
Thank you very much, Reshmin. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Declan. Speaking to some of the Arsenal fans stuck outside the ground, it really is not a good look for the Premier League. It's not what you want on the first game of the Premier League season at home here at the Emirates. No such issues yesterday at Burnley, of course, but today definitely problems with the e-ticketing systems, and there are still so many fans stuck outside the grounds. As I said, one of my friends is now in. He was right at the front of the queue. We're hearing as well other people are now starting to trickle in. You can feel a bit more of an atmosphere, but even then there's still thousands of seats that are still empty. So as you know, kickoff is delayed until 1 p.m. and the fans are still queuing. It is so slow moving because of course the security checks have to be done as well. Nobody is allowed in without that happening too, which is slowing down the process as well, but of course it's necessary too. So kickoff not until 1 p.m.
We're just getting a few pictures, aren't we, coming in of what it looks like outside the stadium, and it's still not great.
No.
You know, there's a lot of queues, there's people being checked, but every individual person is being checked, bags being checked, people being frisked. It looks quite congested outside, and as you mentioned already, I mean Scott mentioned it just a moment ago, it's still not full. Now I think some of that is down to the fact that it's raining, so everybody now doesn't want to go down to the front of the stand where it's uncovered.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more in terms of numbers down our
particularly
corridor.
Where we are, yeah.
We're right next to where the fans come into this main stand on this near side, and they're now starting to just funnel in up with a little bit more volume, aren't they?
Maybe it is a covering thing, but I'm looking on the other side of the pitch and it's probably about 20% full, no more than that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're still getting the pictures from outside, and there's a lot of people on phones trying to get into the ground. Doesn't look particularly great. We may well end up having another delay.
Martin, so many unforeseen circumstances are always an inevitability in football, but this is one that really shouldn't happen. If you're a manager going into your opening game of the season, what are you thinking?
Exactly. I mean, you've gone out for a warm-up, you're getting yourself prepared, you're coming in, and the next thing you know, there'll be news just as you're going into the dressing room. Oh, by the way, there's a half an hour delay. So the lads now have to get themselves right again. Okay, well, that's part of their job, but they're now out warming up again. And I agree with the lads. I tell you, I will be surprised if there's a 1 o'clock kickoff. I really will be surprised. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we all hope you're wrong. Whilst I love chatting to you all, we want this game to kick off because we should be 15 minutes into this match, and we're not. And the players have been back out warming up. Nottingham Forest are out longer because a few of the Arsenal players are heading back in the tunnel, so they're certainly anticipating that 1 p.m. kickoff. But of course, you can stay across it all live here on Talksport. We'll keep you up to date with absolutely everything that is going on here inside the stadium and outside the ground as well. The fans, I can see there, we do have some images here of the fans outside the ground. They are starting to move a bit quicker towards those turnstiles, but again, as we say, there are security checks as well for all of them, and plus that e-ticketing system needs to work as well. Every single ticket has to be checked. So let's hope that kickoff happens. As I say, Arsenal heading back down the tunnel. Nottingham Forest still out with their second warm-up ahead of this game. This is Game Day exclusive on Talksport. I've been alongside Martin O'Neill, Sam Matterface and Scott Minto. We are here at the Emirates for Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, your first Game Day exclusive of the new season. Kickoff, hopefully, is next. You are listening to Talksport. It is Game Day exclusive. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury, and you may have been expecting to hear and to be probably about 29 minutes into our first Game Day of the season, our first Premier League kickoff at 12:30, which should have been Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. If you've been hearing, or if you're just joining us, kickoff has been delayed because of an e-ticketing error, a system failure outside the ground. The stadium is still quite empty or not full enough. There are still thousands of fans waiting outside and queuing, waiting for their tickets to be scanned, and of course waiting for security searches as well. Each and every ticket has to be scanned, and each and every fan has to be checked by the security officials as well. So kickoff has been delayed here until 1 p.m. here at the Emirates. We're expecting the game to go ahead. The Premier League hoarding has now gone up in front of us. The teams obviously disappeared into the tunnel at around 20 minutes past 12 in anticipation of that 12:30 kickoff. They came out again to warm up all over again, and they have gone back down into the tunnel as well. So it looks as though kickoff will happen at 1 o'clock here at the Emirates. We certainly hope it will happen. Here though, at the Emirates, as I say. It seems as though all preparations are in order ahead of a 1 p.m. kickoff, of course delayed from 12:30 due to e-ticketing issues outside the grounds. Fans queuing up for a very, very long time indeed, trying to get into the stadium, and they are starting to filter in. I know that loads of you have been in touch with us via Talksport or on X, as the old Twitter, as we now call it. Thanks to all of those who have messaged in as well. Dave has tweeted and has asked, what happens with the TV coverage if the game isn't finished before the blackout starts? Well, firstly, Dave, thank you for getting in touch with us. We hope you're okay if you are outside the ground. Sam, what do we know about this? It's something you mentioned, the 3 p.m. blackout, and of course with all that extra added time that we're anticipating due to the new rules, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier on. We'll be okay, and there won't be a problem. The TV blackout is there in order to protect the domestic football, especially down the pyramid in the lower leagues, the 3 o'clock attendances, the idea of not putting a live game on the television so people are sort of deterred from going to an actual football match themselves. You know, because this is a delay and this is an emergency situation, there is not going to be a blackout so that you get to the 60th, 70th minute and then the cameras are going to go off. That's not going to be the case. It's just that a match can't be scheduled to be on television between the hours of 2:45 p.m. and 4:45 p.m. It's why you've seen FA Cup matches kick off at 4:55 or 5 o'clock or 5:05. It's why the TV coverage, the first Premier League game of the day, usually finishes by 2:30, and while the later game kicks off at 5:30. Those matches between 3 and 5 do not kick off, are not scheduled for live television broadcast. But it won't have an impact on this particular game today. The coverage will just continue. We've done it a couple of times before. You mentioned last season games have kicked off a little bit later. They just rolled on until it's finished.
With the new rules as well, with injury time,
we might be here till 9 o'clock.
We could be here till very late, Resh.
You got the snacks in?
I haven't got the snacks.
You better go and get some.
No.
Maybe our producer Deck can help us out at half time. I know they do have good. They've got pies here at half time normally, haven't they?
Closed there. You know there used to be Piebury Corner. Do you ever walk down Holloway Road?
I haven't actually.
You walk down Holloway Road. There used to be a shop called Piebury Corner, and that shop used to have a variety of different pies. I think it had 11 different pies, all named after a specific Arsenal legend.
Oh my God!
And it's closed down. Couldn't believe it.
I could eat 3 or 4 of those right now.
What would you have? Patrick Vieira or a Lee Dixon?
No, it's got to be Ashley Cole, really, isn't it? Even though he went to Chelsea as well.
Martin O'Neill, if you had to choose an Arsenal pie, what would it be?
It would be 2 of Pat Rice.
A rice pie.
A rice pie. Pat was a colleague of mine in the Northern Ireland team for some time, you know. But he played in the great 1971 team that won the double, you know. So a great character altogether, and he was Arsene Wenger's assistant for quite a number of years.
Of course.
Well.
Just as I arrived, actually, I saw Charlie George and Sammy Nelson.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you? Is that right? Nelson
club legends here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what these games are, aren't they? They're just absolute reunions, aren't they? Well, look, we did start hearing some of the crowd. The stadium is starting to fill up now, so I do anticipate that 1 p.m. kickoff. We did hear chants of Arsenal, so you know the crowd are making themselves heard. That old chestnut, the whole, you know, it hasn't dampened the spirit. I mean, there's no dampening of the spirits on the opening day of a Premier League season at all, is there? We are here now. We're getting ready for this game. Let's talk about Arsenal's midfield then, because you know you mentioned Rice, but we've got Declan Rice, £105 million paid to West Ham for his services here in North London. He's playing as a 6 today. We've got Havertz back in midfield, which is in contrast to where he played in the Charity Shield last weekend. What have you made of both of these signings, Martin? Let's start with Declan Rice.
Okay. I mean, I think people are talking about big prices now for players. Casino, you're talking about perhaps £115 million. I think Declan Rice is worth it in the sense that that's what you want to pay. Sorry, do you want me to interrupt?
You tell me very quickly. We always want to hear you very quickly.
Okay. I think Rice will be excellent for Arsenal. I genuinely do. I'm not sure about Havertz being the goal scorer that they might be looking for.
Yeah.
He didn't do enough at Chelsea.
Only 9 last season.
I wasn't even that sure that he was a prolific goal scorer in Germany either at the time. However, listen, he's an added body. He has a lot of experience, and at this minute with Jesus out of the side, they'll need someone of a bit of experience around here, certainly at the start of the season.
Havertz maybe a bit of a hybrid. He
absolutely.
He is lining up out there. The teams are out, which means kickoff is imminent. So I'm going to hand you straight over to our commentary team. As you were hearing just then, the former Nottingham Forest player and manager, Leicester Celtic and Northern Ireland as well, Martin O'Neill, the former Chelsea, West Ham and Benfica defender Scott Minto. But first, Talksport's chief football commentator, Sam Matterface.
Well, if we hadn't delayed you enough, let's delay you again, because there's been a goal in Australia for Talksport's Ollie Klink. An epic tussle between Colombia and England continues over on Talksport 2. Download our app. You can flick between the two stations. Also on our app right now, Middlesbrough against Coventry. But finally the sun is out. The stands starting to be filled up properly. And Arsenal and Nottingham Forest have emerged onto the lush green playing service in North London. And all the talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer can stop now. The real summer blockbuster is about to start. Grab the snacks, fill the fridge. The Premier League is back, and it too has had a makeover. New managers, new players, new kits, new rules. Maybe Harry Kane was so impressed with Arsenal's business this summer that he thought it was best to get out now, just in case the Gunners, armoury reinforced, got over the line this time around. Nottingham Forest added 30 players to their cast last season. This year just 3. But all 3 start their opening away trip of the season, including a man who was wearing an Arsenal kit 6 days ago. Arsenal make one change from the Community Shield. Nketiah in for Gabriel. Be interesting to see how the formation lines up. It's intriguing us. Forest one change. Matt Turner used to be the Arsenal goalkeeper. He's now the number 1 for Nottingham Forest. The referee's Michael Oliver. The VAR is Jared Gillett. Arsenal in red-bodied jerseys and white sleeves, thick gold edging, being serenaded to the sound of Arsenal Forever prior to kick-off here. Nottingham Forest white shirts that include wavy sky blue lines, light blue shorts and socks. They'll attack the goal, array to our left-hand side, the North banking out in the first half. Boy, have we missed this, and they made us wait for it as well. That tension, that anxiety, that sense of anticipation. Right now on Talksport 2, the Lionesses continue their World Cup quest. On the Talksport app, we've got Coventry Middlesbrough. We're round the grounds with Adrian just after 3 o'clock. Bournemouth West Ham is on Talksport 2. Tomorrow, the bigger, better, brighter Sunday session comes from Stamford Bridge. And then Monday, we've got Manchester United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. The Premier League returns. So it really is the best day ever. So is yesterday, so is tomorrow, and every day from now until July. It's Talksport, where every match matters, and we're underway in the Premier League, with the ball being sent high and long down the right-hand side by Nottingham Forest, immediately up to Morgan Gibbs-White, who's tussling with Jurien Timber in that left full-back position, and it looks like a back 4 to start with Partey at right back. Scott Minto.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, it's only just 30 seconds going ahead, and just trying to look at both teams at the moment. It does look like, it's a 4 for Nottingham Forest. Again, it's so hybrid, isn't it, and fluid, these formations, that we'll have to wait and see whether actually, Aurier drops in there to make it a 3 at the back, or a 5, which it probably will be. And in terms of Arsenal, still not able to actually see what they're going to be doing, but again, it looks like they are a 4 at the moment.
4 with Partey at right back, and then maybe moving into midfield when they have the ball. They've sent it over the halfway line. Havertz stoops, Ødegaard miscontrols. Ola Aina, a new signing, picks the ball up on the left-hand side for Nottingham Forest. Travels towards the halfway line. A little back heel doesn't quite come off to Mangala, and it goes back towards Rice at the base of the midfield. Martin O'Neill won the European Cup with Nottingham Forest, not once but twice. He's here in the commentary box with us watching Saka skate down the right hand side, moving towards the right angle of the penalty area. He's tight to the touchline, gives it back to Partey, and then it goes all the way back to the halfway line. Martin, in your opening thoughts?
Yes, just Arsenal just trying to knock the ball around a little bit, trying to get everyone a touch of the ball. That's very, very important, even for defenders, even at this early stage of the game. So, and just the minute that Arsenal have the ball inside Nottingham Forest half, Nottingham Forest are retreating, which they did most of last season as well, Truth.
Ball sent over the top for Saka to chase into the right wing position. A low cross into the box. It's sped past Nketiah, almost through to Havertz on the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's cleared away by Worrell just in front of the defence. It goes out for a throw in the right wing position. And it's with Arsenal. 2 minutes played on Talksport. It's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0. The first game of the season, which got underway at 1 o'clock instead of 12:30 because of ticketing problems. If you've just joined us, good afternoon to you wherever you're going today, up and down the country. Thanks for lending us your ears. We've got all the goals as they go in from all of the games right here on Talksport throughout the course of the afternoon with Adrian Durham. 0-0.
Sam, that was a wonderful opportunity for Arsenal there, and we talked about wanting an out-and-out goal scorer. That's something that Eddie Nketiah needs to get on. That ball was coming in. It was simple. It was the first time that Thomas Partey went from a right back into midfield, which is where he is now. Again, as we expected, once they've got the ball, it's almost a 3. Sometimes Partey's out wide, sometimes he's inside. The first time he moved inside, it created that space for Saka over the top. First time with his right foot across, just begging for someone to get on the end of it. That's what Arsenal need throughout the whole season, not just today.
Here's Saka again, down the right-hand side. They enjoyed their Community Shield experience and celebrated their success as well. He's taking on Aina, gets towards the byline. The challenge comes in, it deflects behind and away for the first corner of the game. On the Arsenal right, in front of the clock end, and Matt Turner just organising his troops to try and ensure that Arsenal don't get an early advantage here. It's a big, muscular Nottingham Forest defence that Arsenal have got to try and pierce from this set piece, but Saka is really good at delivering them from this right hand side. Nottingham Forest just trying to organise themselves. Declan Rice up by the penalty spot, and Nketiah wrestling with Mangala, and Joe Worrell just being spoken to by Michael Oliver because there was too much physicality inside that 6-yard box. Matt Turner just getting some advice from the officials. I think he was being stood on, by Ben White. Matt Turner and Ben White were teammates last week, and now they're adversaries at the start of this new Premier League season. 4 minutes gone, 0-0 the score. The sunshine out in North London at the Emirates, and the corner about to come in from the right hand side. A left-footed delivery from Bukayo Saka. There's another push inside the box, this time on Morgan Gibbs-White from Ben White. Referee just wants Saka to get on with it. Eventually he'll do that. Left-footed, a ball in towards the near post this time, and it's headed away by the defender, and it's pushed out by Aurier and out for another second successive corner. Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, it's a dangerous corner, obviously, with Saka swinging the ball in, and interesting at Havertz and turning his back initially on the ball, then coming round to face it. But Arsenal making the run to the near post. Somebody's going to try and get the flick on.
It's Saka again, right hand in the air, left-footed. This time the delivery goes back in towards that near post again, away by Scott McKenna, who gets in front of Partey and prods the ball out towards this near touchline, and halfway inside Nottingham Forest territory, it's out for a throw. There's 2 balls on the pitch. Steve Cooper, or one of his assistants, is that Alan Tate, who pushed it back onto the field of play. That delays proceedings. Now, you will have already now seen Rafa Varane's tweet taken in the Community Shield or an EFL game, and be aware that gamesmanship, aggressive behaviour and time wasting are all being clamped down upon in the Premier League. Historically, it's been one of Europe's most lenient leagues, but not anymore. Expect a lot more cards for managers who get involved in things like that, and for players who kick the ball away or disrupt free kicks. Here is Saka though, as we play on without any cards so far in the game. We played 5 minutes. One back by Declan Rice in midfield. He did well there under pressure from Brennan Johnson. It goes back to Saliba. All the football being played in the Nottingham Forest half of the field at this moment in time, and Arsenal with the lion's share of possession. Partey out on the right side, playing a hybrid role at right back into midfield. It goes to Ben White, up into Ødegaard, who drops in, plays it back to the centre circle. Rice takes over now, plays a short square pass into Ben White, who then flicks it down the right touchline, and Martinelli has breached the lines. He's got to the byline and then has to run away from goal rather than to it, flicks it against the defender, and it goes out for a throw-in on this near side to Nottingham Forest.
might end up gone out for a goal kick, actually, behind the goal line away to our right-hand side. Scott Minto.
No, good defending in the end from Scott McKenna. He just followed the run from Martinelli and pushed him away from goal, despite him being on the kind of byline. And yeah, you know, wonder whether it be 3 at the back or 5 at the back. I don't think it's by design, but it's very much 5 at the back for Forest, because it has been all the possession from Arsenal. And look, again, what we talked about last season is Forest. We know that Steve wants to try. They're not going to outplay teams, especially not Arsenal at the Emirates, but they do need to be able to keep the ball a little bit better to relieve a bit of pressure. The away form was terrible. At the moment, they're not able to even just make 2 or 3 passes, because even if they do have the ball, you know, Arsenal are pressing them.
I spoke to Steve Cooper ahead of the Liverpool game last season, and he was saying that, you know, we know the pattern, and the pattern will be the same here. Arsenal likely to dominate the ball in the Forest half. Forest will attempt to absorb the pressure, but when they win it, they have to play. They have to earn the right to create a chance, because this is the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, and throughout last season, you would have thought that there was very, very obvious. You know, they weren't able to keep the ball, particularly away from home. They were relying on home form, and suddenly here the same thing has started again.
Saka moving towards the edge of the area, a little reverse ball down through the right channel, looking for Nketiah, who darted from the edge of the D into the Nottingham Forest penalty area, and it almost connected.
Sam, these are the sort of things, if I'm Arteta, I'm delighted with the start, simply because you have possession of the ball. Nottingham Forest have retreated, which he would have been expecting anyway. But there is a time that Nottingham Forest have to go and try and get the ball off Arsenal a wee bit further away from the goal than they're doing so far.
0-0 the score, 8 minutes gone. You're listening to Talksport. Sam Matterface, Martin O'Neill and Scott Minto in the commentary box here at the Emirates today.
No, I was just going to say, because it looked like Ben White and Thomas Partey just swapped over, but it was more just Partey was covering for Ben White, and now White's gone back into the middle, where, to be fair, how versatile he is. He's happy with any of those positions, and fair play to Thomas Partey as well. But Martin's spot on. You know, Forest are going to get something out of this game, and if they do, fair play to them. I don't yet know how they're going to do it, because they can't even get the ball. And you look at their first few away games, it's Arsenal away, United away, Chelsea away, City away. I mean, my goodness, if they get a point out of that, they've not done too bad.
What's the 6th away game? Liverpool.
I missed that one out. So the home form is going to be crucial, but they need to pick up points away from home, and you need to try and just have a little bit of the ball. At the moment, you know, they're just trying to make sure they don't concede, but they need to do more if they're going to get something out. They can't do this for 90 minutes.
Yeah, interestingly, you saw that White and Partey moving positions and switching positions. They're so fluid, Arsenal, because they've got so many versatile players. It's been the way that they've recruited over the last year. You think of January and the players they bought in then, and the players they bought in this summer as well. And one of those is Jurrien Timber, playing as a sort of hybrid left back, left centre half in the early exchanges here. 9 minutes play, Talksport. Now Partey's popped up in midfield. He's played it forward to Ødegaard, who's 10 yards short of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Work wide onto Saka, who takes on Aina, comes in left-footed, sends the ball long towards the far post, looking for Rice. It's in the air by Nketiah, slipped by Rice at the back post as he falls down the bank, as it cambers away from the goal away to our right hand side and towards the sort of asphalt area behind Matt Turner's goal, and it's out for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. 0-0 the score. You're listening to Talksport. Remember, over on Talksport 2, the World Cup quarter-final between England and Colombia continues. England leading by 2-1. Alessia Russo with the goal that's put England in front in that game, looking for a place in the semi-finals of the competition. It continues over on Talksport 2, and Coventry lead Middlesbrough by a goal to nil. Got them with a goal early in that match. That's available on the Talksport app, so if you download Talksport's app, and you can flick between this game, the Coventry Middlesbrough game, and the World Cup quarter-final. It's the only place to do that, by the way. Over 450 live games over the course of the season. How many other radio stations have got that many? Correct, none. The score's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0 on Talksport with Now. And don't forget, with Now, you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle versus Aston Villa, live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. 0-0, ball on the halfway line, prodded forward by Nottingham Forest. They're trying to get a little bit of territory in opposition territory. It comes through to Brennan Johnson, who goes past the goalkeeper and then hits it over the top of the crossbar. Well, that's what they're looking for, Nottingham Forest, just to have a little bit of an opportunity to win the ball back on the halfway line, send Brennan Johnson through the centre. They did just that. He was faced up by Ramsdale, but he sent it over the top of the crossbar.
That looked a fantastic chance. Absolutely, it's just fallen to Nottingham Forest, and what a chance. And Johnson through, you would expect him to score. You certainly expect him not to put the ball over the bar. And incredible chance.
Do you know what, Sam? I was just thinking that they're not really getting the ball down, Forest, but at least they're getting further up the pitch. And then it was a header through. You are not going to get many better chances than that at the Emirates. And when you get that chance, you can't always score, but at least hit the target, as Martin was saying. The keeper makes a save, so be it. The best chance of the game by a million miles so far.
10 goals last season for Brennan Johnson. He only actually came back into full training in the last sort of week or so. He only played one pre-season game because he picked up an injury with Wales on an international break prior to, well, at the end of last season. He's looked a little bit rusty last week, and that was an opportunity which you would expect him to do a little bit better with. It's the best chance of the game so far, and it's gone Nottingham Forest way. They've had hardly any of the ball, but they've had the best chance of it. But now here come Arsenal, and Rice trying to prod it forward is dispossessed by Serge Aurier, gives the ball away again, but he was fouled by Martinelli on the left angle of the Forest penalty area, and a free kick is given to Nottingham Forest away to our right hand side, and it's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
You know, that is the one problem. If you're not quick enough, you play 3 at the back with the ball, and you ideally want to go 4 at the back without it, but if they haven't got back into 4, then the space is there to exploit.
Let's go to Sydney and to find out what the latest is from the World Cup quarter-final involving England and Colombia. Ollie Kling.
Just over 10 minutes to go. England 2, Colombia 1. This is tense, Sam. What a save from England goalkeeper Mary Earps just now. She palmed away Lorena Bedoya's stinging shot from 30 yards out. The final stages are live on Talksport 2. England 2, Colombia 1.
Back here at the Emirates Stadium, a bright passage of play involving Ødegaard, a little Cruyff turn to take him away from his marker. He fed the ball into the right channel, sent Nketiah away. Good brave goalkeeping from Matt Turner. Offside flag eventually went up, but he came out very quickly and smothered chance for Nketiah, Martin.
Well, those are the type of chances that Arsenal will be trying to form throughout the game. You know, this couple of little passes here and trying to squeeze one in behind the back 3.
Yeah. Ødegaard, who thrives in matches like this, he is capable of the incisive pass that can slice through any defence. Martin Ødegaard, the player of the season last year for Arsenal, and very much their captain. And they have the ball on the edge of their own 18-yard box with Saliba, who strides out of the defensive zone and into midfield where Partey is waiting for it. He's central now, and White has split out towards this right-hand side. It's all Arsenal in terms of possession, but the big chance came to Brennan Johnson in the opening 12 minutes of this game. Now Saka picks the ball up though and attacks the right wing position, feeds White, who's gone on the overlap on the outside, as he did actually in the game against Manchester City last week in the Community Shield with some success, and he's won a corner, Scott.
Yeah, Aina did well actually, because it was a 2-on-1 situation. Sometimes Ben White just needs to judge it. Do I make the overlap, or do I just let Saka have a 1-on-1? He went for the overlap there, and Aina just dropped off and, actually made a really good tackle.
Talksport live at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Another corner for Arsenal. It's left-footed again in towards that near post where they obviously think that Nottingham Forest are vulnerable. Bolly heads it clear, comes back to Saka, then Ødegaard, then Saka again down the right-hand side. It looks to twist one way, then the other. Then his cross is blocked by Ola Reina. It's out for a throw-in midway inside Nottingham Forest territory. A ball boy chucks a quick loose ball into the arms of the Norwegian, and they quickly scurry back to try and put Nottingham Forest under pressure. They haven't created too many chances. Matt Turner yet to make a real save in the Nottingham Forest goal, but it's still 0-0 after 15 minutes. Everyone's safely in the ground now here at the Emirates Stadium after a lengthy delay to kick off. We kicked off at 1 instead of 12:30 here on the opening weekend of the new Premier League season. Last night Manchester City winning by 3-0 away at Burnley, live on Talksport. Tomorrow the Sunday session brings you all the games from the Premier League. Here's Ødegaard down the right hand side, trying to jink his way into an attacking position. He gets to the right angle of the penalty area, goes a little bit deeper, then forages back to Saka. Lots of Nottingham Forest bodies behind the ball, packed on the edge of the box, really tightly packed. There's no gap, and Saliba, who tried to pierce that gap, ended up being smothered by Johnson. The ball ricocheted behind him towards the halfway line. But look, there was no Nottingham Forest player apart from Johnson within 40 yards of the ball.
I did wonder though how quick he is, whether he could actually out-sprint Saliba, and it was Ben White who had got himself positionally right, and he was the first one to get there.
Back with Martinelli and Arsenal on the wide left as they look to try and find another way through. It's so difficult, isn't it, with all those bodies in front of the 18-yard box away
to our right-hand side. What's the tactic here? Get the ball wide, move it at tempo, Martin, in order to prize them open?
Yeah, I think your most dangerous attacker is Saka, and you're trying to get him isolated one-on-one against Anya, knowing that McKenna actually, and the Forest back three, the left-sided back three, is not actually coming out to help too much. So this is the idea that Arsenal are trying to get Saka isolated one-on-one.
Saka's just drifted infield now to pick up a loose ball which was headed away after an Erdegaard cross, but it's Nottingham Forest who've got hold of it, and Mangala has managed to get it towards the halfway line. Danilo gets it under control but then can't burst from midfield, and eventually Arsenal smother, win the ball back just 10-15 yards inside their own territory. And now there's three players the wrong side of the ball for Forest, and that might open things up for Arsenal, who move forward with Havertz, but he just slows things down slightly, has to turn and come back in field. Martinelli takes it well after a pass from the left hand side from Jurrien Timber, wins the free kick after a foul by Johnson. It's going to be a free kick. It might have been Yates actually got the final touch on him. Going to be a free kick to Arsenal. 0-0, 17 gone on Talksport. Rice has peeled out towards the left-hand side. He's not peaked Granit Xhaka yet, but he's playing a little bit more advanced in this Arsenal team. He will get more of the ball higher up the field. And looking at the Arsenal squad, that is the only player that's sort of departed from last campaign. Granit Xhaka. They've added Jurrien Timber. They've added Declan Rice. They've got themselves into a much better situation in terms of numbers this season. Kai Havertz, obviously coming from Chelsea for £65 million, was a big acquisition in terms of financially. I mean, he didn't have the greatest week last week in the Community Shield, missed a couple of chances, but he's playing in a position where I think he believes is better for him today.
Yeah, on paper they look stronger, don't they? They brought in players, they've only lost Xhaka, they've got the experience of what happened last season. I still feel that they could have used that money on Kai Havertz plus some on getting the out-and-out goal scorer. If they had that, I'd be more than confident to say that I think they can win the title, and almost 50-50 with City.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? As the ball breaks down at the feet of Erdegaard, it's half cleared, then White puts it out right side and away for a throw-in. Gives it to Nottingham Forest, who have the ball. All of the play at the moment having in the Nottingham Forest half of the field. That's the thing, isn't it? The difference between Arsenal and City in terms of approaches is that Arsenal don't have that out-and-out focal point to their attack. They don't have that Erling Haaland who's going to get them a serious number of goals. They spread the goals around last season.
Absolutely right. Again, it's getting back to the point about Arsenal. Arsenal just at this minute thinking about going through the middle, but it's so congested. Nottingham Forest have numbers in there just right in the middle, and therefore it has to go wide. Martinelli on one side and Saka on the other. And even if Saka is actually out here wide on the left hand side, looks up immediately, sees a couple of players around him, at least he can thread something through to the edge of the box.
Havertz out wide to Jurrien Timber. Offside flag is up against him before he can deliver a cross. It was blocked anyway, and it's going to be a free kick in the right full-back position for Nottingham Forest. 0-0 the score on Talksport.
Do you know what, Sam? Martin's absolutely right, and I can speak from a left-back's point of view. The last thing you want is to be isolated with someone who can go either way. Okay, yes, he's left-footed, but we know he can go down the right as well. So if I were Mikel Arteta, I'd be telling him just stay wide, and then they can create that overload down one side. Crossfield pass, you've got the one-on-one situation. If at times they go down the left on the Martinelli, they're going towards the byline, yes, of course, get into the far post, but Aina's got a job in his hands to try and keep Saka quiet for the full 90 minutes.
Steve Cooper's Nottingham Forest actually finished the season as one of the form teams in the league, but their away form was the worst in the division over the season, something they'll want to improve on this campaign. They have returned to a back three in pre-season. There was a brief flirt with a four, but it had disastrous results. Ryan Yates played some of the pre-season as an 8, breaking into the box, but screened the defence last week against Eintracht Frankfurt, and he is much deployed in a deeper role today. Partey shrugs off Morgan Gibbs-White and bursts into Nottingham Forest territory as Arsenal look to build from the back. Erdegaard swirls away from Mangala. Out wide it goes to Saka. Back towards the centre circle. The tip of that is where Saliba is stationed. He motions forward to Timber, and it goes wide to the left of Martinelli. He's up on the edge of the penalty area. Good ball into Partey. First time ball into the box. There's no one in that number 9 area to pick the ball up, and out comes Turner and picks the ball up for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, but even so, the idea was still good enough. Martinelli has gone wide on the left hand side. He's picked it up. He has attracted a couple of Nottingham Forest defenders to him. There was a little bit of space. He's played a ball in right across the middle, and if Partey controls the ball, at least he has the possibility of having a shot.
You're listening to Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0 on Talksport.
with Super 6, and there was almost a super mistake there by Matt Turner, who was under pressure from Eddie Nketiah. The ball bounces behind and it goes away for a goal kick. It was hit by Turner against Nketiah and it went behind the goal away to our right hand side. Simply download the app Super 6, get your entries in before 3 p.m. today and you could become a millionaire without spending a penalty. Spending a penny. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Spending a penalty. Penalties on the brain. Hopefully it won't go to penalties.
I was going to say England-Colombia, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 minutes to go. England 2, Colombia 1. I remember England being a goal to the good against Colombia, so we're going towards the end of a match in a knockout game in Moscow. We're sitting behind the goal that night. Ended up having to go to penalties. Eric Dyer with a big moment that particular evening. Back to Ollie Klink very shortly. It's 0-0 here between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. Arsenal's first home game of the new Premier League season. Later on, Bournemouth against West Ham is on Talksport 2. Coventry still lead Middlesbrough by 1-0 over on the Talksport app right now, and that World Cup game continues on Talksport 2 as we speak. Here, Declan Rice is on the ball for Arsenal, just left of the centre circle. Plays it wide towards the left, and it's collected by Martinelli. Martinelli back to Jurrien Timber. Timber into the feet of Arsenal's William Saliba, who was so good last season and excellent in the Community Shield. White delivers the ball over the top. Saka to chase. Matt Turner came out and collected it. And he'll know what the plans are, won't he, Matt Turner? Because he was probably up until 6 days ago, he was part of them.
I don't know how good the individual players are, but that's such a key. That at the moment, as Martin said earlier, for me that is the key battle. Saka against Aina, and if I'm Aina, I'm saying, listen, I might be struggling here a little bit. Scott, you need to help. McKenna, you need to help me out. Because what he did was he went short to go long, and Aina went with him, and then the ball over the top, and McKenna didn't drop off. He's got to almost be in that situation. It's a 2v1 situation because Saka is so good on the right hand side, both with and without the ball. He can look for that ball over the top and suddenly he's in.
Nottingham Forest, who had a problem scoring goals last season, they had a problem keeping them out as well. Only 3 teams had a worse defence than Forest last campaign. 12 of their 38 goals that they did score came in the final 6 games of the campaign, so it was an issue at both ends of the field. But they've kept Arsenal at bay so far. We're a quarter of the way through the match. It's Arsenal 0, Nottingham Forest 0, live on Talksport, our first Saturday exclusive game of the season. Here's Declan Rice bursting to the edge of the area. Havertz picks it up, tries to shoot. Yates blocks it on the edge of the D, and then it's won once again high up the field by Arsenal. Partey's got it in the middle of the Nottingham Forest half. Play to the right and White onto Ødegaard. He needs to move that just a little bit quicker just to unsettle Nottingham Forest. Partey has dragged them up the field though. Move towards the right. Saka's taken it on now and he'll face up Ola Aina in the right wing position. Goes back infield to White. Space for Saliba centrally. Again, Nottingham Forest congesting, crowding that area in front of their own 18-yard box just to make sure that there's no easy route to goal for Arsenal. 0-0. Rice peeling out to the left and then coming infield, finding Saka, who's just dropped him from the right side. Back out wide now. Thomas Partey plays it into Saka, into the area. Right-footed shot, blocked by Mangala. Comes back out to Partey. Saka's trying to stay onside. He does. He bends into the penalty area. Right-footed ball across the face of goal, blocked by McKenna. Deflected behind and away for another corner. Martin O'Neill.
Oh, that was much better by Arsenal. A little bit of movement, slick movement. As Scott mentioned there, that believe it or not, Saka has come short, then gone long again, and he's put into a lovely position. He's on his right foot, he's trying to put it across, and it's forced for a corner, but better from Arsenal.
0-0 the score, another Arsenal corner. It's the 4th of the game for Bukayo Saka to take. He's gone to the near post with every one of them so far. And where will he go this time? He looks up, steps up, left-footed again into that near post. It's flicked on a quick across the face of goal. It's headed on by Saliba, bounces into the air, drops on the edge of the area, and Martinelli has to juggle with it before turning and facing up and running down the left-hand side and getting past Danilo. He takes him on, beats him, does a little turn into the box, beautiful, onto Nketiah, right-footed. What a goal for Arsenal! Martinelli magnificent, Nketiah deadly with the finish. Arsenal lead. A terrifically constructed goal, which owed a lot to the ingenuity of Martinelli down the left-hand side. A lovely little turn on the left side of the area, set it up for Nketiah, who swiveled and shot towards the near post. Matt Turner is beaten. Nottingham Forest's resistance is broken. It's Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Scott.
Amazing, isn't it? The best player on the pitch so far has been Bukayo Saka, and yet the goal comes from the other side. Really good play from Martinelli, I have to say. As he cuts inside, he gets the ball. So dangerous when he's able to get a bit of space. Again, he's running with the ball. He's just about getting a great turn. And then it's Eddie Nketiah. He gets inside the box, and the Forest defenders don't get tight enough. He's got 2 or 3 yards around to able to take that first touch. We're just looking at replays of a great bit of skill from Martinelli. I'm not quite sure if he's trying to get past the 2 defenders himself or actually pass to Nketiah. Anyway, Nketiah just comes inside. Defenders that allow him to open the goal up, get on his right foot, show him on his left, away from goal. And then a little bit of a deflection means that Matt Turner goes one way and the ball goes the other. But Arsenal deserve to be a goal up.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, it's this great age-old thing. You feel as if there's safety in numbers. Nottingham Forest had loads and loads of players back. Scott is absolutely right. No one actually did anything. Martinelli got a little bit of luck, I must admit, when he was trying the little flick through. Even so, Nketiah's come in and smashed it into the net. No more than Arsenal deserved. And just that minute or two before there, when Saka had broken clear, you felt as if there was an upsurge of confidence about Arsenal.
9 goals in 18 starts last season for Eddie Nketiah. He's probably getting his chance because of the injury to Gabriel Jesus, but says he isn't here just to fill in for anyone. And he looked lively at times in the Monaco game. Didn't get a chance against the might of Manchester City in the Community Shield last week. But he has his first goal since the 22nd of January.
Sam, this is a wonderful opportunity for him. I thought he came in, midway through last season, did really well, just fell away a little bit, but now he would have learnt from that, both mentally and physically. This is a wonderful opportunity for him to actually say, do you know what, I should be the Arsenal striker, and even if Gabriel Jesus gets fit again, I'm going to be scoring goals. Let's not go too far ahead on that one, but a brilliant start for him and for Arsenal.
Well, that was a debate actually, wasn't it, last season after Jesus was out for a while and Nketiah stepped in well. Yellow card for Ola Aina for tripping up Bukayo Saka, and that's the last thing you want as a left back marking someone like him, is to be on a yellow card.
Absolutely, sir. But here's the interesting thing now from Steve Cooper's viewpoint. What is he thinking about doing? Because so far, although they've had a wonderful chance with Johnson, they haven't really been in the game that much. And yet up until about 5 minutes ago, they must have felt that they're reasonably comfortable in looking after Arsenal. Now Arsenal have got the goal, they're in their prime position here. What does Cooper do? Does he think about changing plan, changing tack now, and maybe trying to get on the ball a little bit more?
Danilo has it on halfway, but he's given it away very quickly, and Michael Oliver has not given him the free kick that he thought he was going to get, and Arsenal turn and face and run at Nottingham Forest once again. On the outside is Saka moving up towards the edge of the penalty area. 29 gone, 1-0 they lead here, courtesy of a goal scored by Eddie Nketiah. Step over by Erdogan. I'm not sure that Partey was ready for it, didn't react to it, and Nottingham Forest just about managed to get the ball half cleared. There's a foul by Saka, free kick 12 yards from the edge of the 18-yard box inside Forest territory. It was a little bit soft.
2 things there, Sam. One, Scott McKenna came over to help Aina there, and Saka's looking at it. If he's got a one-on-one situation, he is taking him on either on the inside or the outside. He realises it's 2v1, so he passes the ball back. And then Mangala just showed a real good bit of composure, what he was trying to do, what Steve Cooper has been saying about wanting to try and keep the ball. And, well, he's turning, and no one actually is able to give him an option, but he somehow wins a free kick. But that's the type of mindset that Forest need to have, to be able to not just knock it long and kick it away and give the ball back, try and look up, try and pass the ball. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if, certainly in the second half, there are attacking options for Steve Cooper, but at the moment, apart from that one chance in Brennan Johnson, it's probably a 2 or 3-0 game at the moment, really.
Yeah, 15 minutes to go before half-time. It's 1-0 to Arsenal, and the bad news for Nottingham Forest, Martin, is that Arsenal never lost a game last season when they went in front.
Did they not? Is that right? Right, okay.
Maybe they'll take that into this season as well, after Eddie Nketiah's first goal in 10 hours and 6 minutes of competitive football since his last one. It's always great to get the first goal under your belt at the beginning of the...
Yeah, absolutely. You've been dominant in play. Arteta will be relieved as much as anything else. You've got the goal, they've got the breakthrough, and and life just continues in the way it's been going for the last 10 or 15 minutes.
But Martin, you are right though. In terms of clear-cut chances, Arsenal didn't create loads, and Forest would have been reasonably happy, wouldn't they?
That's the point, Scott. Absolutely. Up until 5 minutes ago, they would have been really. Cooper would have been thinking, yeah, this is okay. This is absolutely all right. I know we haven't had the ball, but it's still all right.
Havertz down the left-hand side, ball into the box, and Nketiah trying to get there, but Worrell just gets in front of him and nudges it behind, and it's away for another corner to Arsenal. The issue being, I suppose, that's the difference between the top teams and those teams that are trying to hang on to a place in the Premier League. That ruthlessness, that clinical ability to finish chances from tight situations.
Yeah, well, Arsenal are going to create more throughout games than Nottingham Forest are going to do. So Forest really had to. That chance that Johnson had is a fantastic chance, Sam.
Yep, and he didn't convert it. But Arsenal have had the lead for about 6 or 7 minutes now, and they're threatening to go further in front here. You're listening to Talksport. The ball right-footed in towards the near post, and Rice trying to help it on. It comes through to Nketiah again, who gets it away from one defender, and then Mangala dives in, and so does Worrell, and they just about get it away from the box, and then Gibbs-White gives it back to Saliba. Partey on the right-hand side into Saka, edge of the penalty area, goes past, left-footed, drives the ball into the top left-hand corner of the net with a majestic finish from a majestic player. Bukayo Saka weaving with a little body swerve infield onto his left foot from the right hand side, and with that left foot, that beautiful left foot, he arced the ball high round Matt Turner, and the net rippled, and the Emirates Stadium stood as one, because it's Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0, and it's a beauty from Bukayo Saka.
It's a world-class strike, you have to say. It's just brilliant. Matt Turner is nowhere near it, and no keeper would have got anywhere near it. We talked about Saka being the best player on the pitch so far, and yet the first goal came from the other side. Well, this time he receives the ball just kind of right central, comes inside, shakes off the defender, and then does a wonder strike 20 yards out. And we talked about Forest being okay at 0-0, and yeah, I was just about to say the problem with teams like Forest, and when you're down there, it's okay when you're 0-0, it's not okay when you're 1-0 and you have to try and create chances. 2-0, well, we know the score last season here, don't we, Sam?
Yeah, 5.
Sam, that was a fantastic goal from a fantastic footballer. He is so strong. He's so strong. It's incredible. He just shrugged off those challenges there, got himself into the position, and whipped that thing. And pulling up, we're almost right behind it, and we felt the minute it left his foot, it's going in. It's going into the net. It was a fantastic goal from a fantastic footballer.
Absolutely outstanding finish from Bukayo Saka. A brilliant moment for Arsenal fans, and a brilliant result down in Sydney for England. Ollie Kling.
It's finished. England 2, Colombia 1. England have booked their place in the World Cup semi-finals. They had to come from behind. Russo scored the winner just after the hour mark, and they will now play the co-hosts Australia next Wednesday for a place in the World Cup final. The Lionesses roar into the last 4. It's finished in Sydney. England 2, Colombia 1.
And that semi-final between England and the hosts Australia will be live on the Talksport network next midweek. Here we're at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal made a really good start to the first half here. They lead by 2-0, and they're blowing away the summer cobwebs with a really dominant first half performance. But Nottingham Forest looking to respond. Danilo has found Olarena, but Saka is tracking back on this right-hand side, and he's won the ball back for Arsenal and sent it to Ramsdale, who's kicked long. 1-0 for only a few minutes before it became 2, and the goal that made it 2 was simply beautiful from Bukayo Saka. Here is Ødegaard, just right of the centre circle. You're listening to Talksport live in the Premier League. Later today, Bournemouth against West Ham is on 2, and we continue to bring you all of the goals as they go in with Adrian. From around about 3 o'clock today, we're delayed here because of a turnstile issue, and that's why we kicked off at 1 o'clock instead of 12:30. And I'll tell you what, I'm sure if you were Steve Cooper, you were hoping they could probably wish there was another half an hour delay and we could start again at 1:30 and then maybe at 2 o'clock again after what has been a rather chastening first 35 minutes, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is there anything Saka can't do? I mean, not only has he looked brilliant going forward and he scored a wonder goal, but he helped track back and won the ball back as well. I'll tell you what, I'd love to have played behind him. I would have hated to have marked him.
Can you imagine those Nottingham Forest fans that have made the journey with expectation, hope, as you always get, and they'll still be thinking that you never know. 2-0, it's not over, it never is over at 2-0. And the next away game coming up is only Manchester United and Manchester City and Chelsea, the Premier League, eh?
Yeah. Strange enough, in this old game, sometimes you have to have the ball to score a goal. And so Nottingham Forest fans are thinking, well, let's try and get the ball first.
Someone once said it only takes a second, Martin. They need at least 2 seconds, don't they?
Absolutely.
Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0 on Talksport with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle versus Aston Villa later today at 5:30. Ball into the box from the right side by Serge Aurier, and it doesn't reach Brennan Johnson. It's cleared by Ramsdale, and they'll move up the field, Arsenal. And it's fascinating, isn't it, because they haven't had many opportunities. They have that one glaring chance for Johnson, which he put over the top of the crossbar, but they've sort of almost got desperate when they've got into advanced areas and just sort of flung the ball into the box rather than crafted any chances.
Yeah, it's almost as if you don't have any real self-belief, that you feel as if, the ball is coming to me. I think it was Aurier just crossed it in, and he had a little bit more time to try and pull it down and at least try and deliver a proper cross. But when you're 2-0 down, you haven't had the ball, perhaps maybe you don't feel as if you want it.
Here the ball is on the far side. Martinelli certainly wants it, and he starts to angle his run infield. He goes back to Jurrien Timber, who's slotted in seamlessly into this Arsenal team. He plays a right back and a right centre half for the majority of the season at Ajax last year, and he played almost every one of their games. But he's playing pretty much as a left back stroke left centre half in this new look Arsenal team, this upgraded Arsenal team that went so close towards the end of last season to winning the league. Martinelli down the left hand side, skips away from 2 defenders, bursts into the box, and Nketiah is waiting in the centre, and it misses him. He goes flashing through the 6-yard box and out the other side. Saka keeps it alive. It's back into the edge of the box and Ben White, then out wide to Saka once again. Ødegaard takes over. He went to feint to cross with his left, but then comes back out wide right. White, Saka, Ødegaard, edge of the area, all very tight. Nketiah, right-footed, turns, takes a deflection. Does it go behind for a corner? No. He's going to give a goal kick here, Mike Oliver. But they're in a good mood, Arsenal, and their connections are starting to snap together, Scott.
They're having fun now, aren't they? And it's almost like a bit of a training game. They know they've got all the possession. They know really they can't be hurt. I mean, that one chance from Brennan Johnson, when you're Nottingham Forest and you've been so poor away from home as they were last season, and you come to a place like the Emirates, you know you're going to be under the cosh all the time, and you also know if you do get one chance, you may get one, maximum 2. It's on moments. You have to put the ball in the back of the net. You have to at least hit the target, and that might have changed things. It might have changed things if it had scored, but at the moment, Arsenal having fun.
Having fun in the sun. It was raining a little bit earlier on, but it's certainly not now. The T-shirts are back uncovered from the cagoules that were put on momentarily as we waited for kick-off here. We had a sizable delay. A few of those Arsenal fans are going off to get their half-time refreshments now. We've still got 6 minutes plus. I don't know how
another
much.
6 or 7
I was going to say, still quite a way to go before half-time here. It's going to feel like a very long afternoon for Nottingham Forest, you would have thought.
Just say one thing on Saka there, and unbelievable player and bordering on world class, but just as Martinelli's going down the left hand side, just try and read it and go in at the far post. The ball came in. If it had been there, he could have scored another goal. So remember Raheem Sterling being taught by Pep to always try and get, follow the cross from the other side, something he didn't do there.
Ball sent forward by Ola Aina, and in situations like this you've got to make the most of the set pieces that you get. They committed everybody forward there, Nottingham Forest, and then gave it away far too cheaply with poor execution. And Nketiah drags them up the field as Arsenal turn them over and then come forward through the centre now with Havertz and then on to Partey, and Nottingham Forest aren't back in shape yet. It's on to Ødegaard. Saka making a dart in from the right hand side, but the ball's gone centrally towards Declan Rice. It didn't work out. Saliba's picked it up. There was a foul by Jurrien Timber, and a free kick is given in favour of Nottingham Forest. But there was a bit of space on this right hand side, Martin, there for Saka, who was desperate to make that run and to receive the ball.
Well, if I was Arteta, I'd be telling Ødegaard, please just play it to Saka, play it to him. Saka then decides when he's not going to get it first time, he's tried to make the run in field. Ødegaard loves that. He loves it, Scott. He always loves to lift the ball to someone to make it, and when it comes off, it's really nice. When it doesn't come off, it looks absolutely dreadful.
It's a Real Madrid type skill, almost look, isn't it?
Absolutely.
When actually sometimes just do the simple thing,
the
effective
thing. Just
thing.
keep the ball on the ground and just roll it into something.
He was in.
Free kick. Worrell sends it long up from Nottingham Forest's edge of their own centre circle, and then Havertz has picked it up and he's scampered away, and he's trying to send Arsenal forward here. Ødegaard chasing back with Aina, who's going to head it back to his goalkeeper and just about get there. This is Talksport, the radio station that from December will bring you Jeff Stelling at breakfast on a Monday and a Tuesday. More football, more of the time, with 350 matches this season, and live boxing tonight as Anthony Joshua takes on Robert Hellenius live from 9 o'clock on Talksport. Forest trying to break down the left-hand side. Brennan Johnson, who's been their biggest threat, getting into the penalty area, can't do enough with it. It's smuggled behind despite the backup from Gibbs White, and it's out for a goal kick away to our left. Martin O'Neill.
Well, I think that was a good run by Gibbs White. I think that he showed a bit of power, he showed a bit of, I think he left party for a moment or two, but Arsenal have covered it off and did well to do that there. But at least it's a wee bit more positive from Nottingham Forest.
And that's what they need to be if they're to get back into this game. They're trailing by 2-0 on Talksport. And Nottingham Forest, who have lost their opening game in each of the last 4 seasons, but never have they gone 5 consecutive opening days without winning.
It's the first time for everything, Sam.
And unlike at Arsenal, I think pre-match optimism was tempered at Forest that today could be another tough day. It certainly has turned out to be that way so far. There's not been enough wit and invention when they've, on those rare occasions that they've had the ball. Arsenal have just dominated it so far in the match.
Yeah, but this is like Burnley Man City last night. You know, Forest aren't going to be define their season on a game at the Emirates. It's the home games. You know, we talked about the horror start they've got away from home, but Sheffield United at home and Burnley at home, you know, they've almost got to pick up wins there in both of those games.
Yeah, absolutely right. But we can't get into the situation where this becomes a league where you don't worry about those games against the best boys.
I'm not saying don't worry about it.
Here is Martinelli turning around and playing the ball from the edge of the area out towards the wide right-hand side. Saka picks it up on the overlap. Is Ødegaard. He used him as a bit of a decoy, really. Back to Partey. Saka. Now it's out to Ødegaard. Great touch. And then Ødegaard comes in, wanted to lift the ball again, but instead he needs to go on the outside, and White has done that for him. A low ball back towards the penalty spot. There was no one there. They all went drawn desperately towards the goal. Havertz and Nketiah, no one peeled off to receive the cutback, and it was cleared by Nottingham Forest. Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, it's a brilliant play by Arsenal again, absolutely, and White in the overlap did really well, put the ball back across the box. Unfortunately, Arsenal boys had overread it in that sense and had moved into position rather than maybe one of them just hanging back a little bit.
Saka's got it again, right side tight to the touchline, travels midway inside opposition territory before nudging it into Ødegaard and getting it back, swings it to Rice cuts in, right footed, drives the ball goalwards, first shot on target for him, smothered and saved down to his right by Matt Turner, and it remains 2-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I'd just like to see a bit more of him. Obviously, you know, massive fan. And how good was he at West Ham? And obviously he's going to take a little bit of time to bed himself in and to get used to the Arteta system, and the way that some players have that sort of issue with Pep Guardiola at Manchester City as well. But I'd like to see him get on the ball a little bit more. At the moment it's Ødegaard, it's Saka, it's Partey, it's, you know, even Kai Havertz is seeing more of it than Declan Rice. So yeah, just want to see a bit more of him.
And Rice has won the ball and helped it through to Timber, who's then nudged it through to Ødegaard, who's tried to feed Nketiah edge of the area. Worrell is there to read it and take it and clear it for Nottingham Forest as we go into the final minute of normal time at the end of the first half, with Nottingham Forest 2-0 behind despite having a really good chance in the first 10 minutes of the game. Martinelli, who's worked well on that left hand side, tries to get on the outside of the defender, but Danilo had to come back, shuffle him out of play, and it's away for an Arsenal throw.
What are you thinking, Sam? We're coming up to 45 minutes. What's the number?
I'm going to go 5 added minutes, because they've been a bit liberal, haven't they? There's only been 1 yellow card so far in the game, which is a bit sort of bucking the recent trend. Yeah, I'll go 5. What are you going for?
Yeah, I would have said that. And actually, you're right, there's only been a couple of kicks away. I'm going to go for 4.
Saka into Nketiah, and then Ødegaard helps it on. Havertz doesn't get hold of it, volley away. Aina just pushing it forward into the path of Brennan Johnson, who waits, plays it wide, and then Aurier joins the attack, and it goes over the halfway line, and we have just 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. And with Arsenal rather comfortably leading and comfortably dominating the game, and Mikel Arteta, I think, will be pretty happy with the way things have gone so far, Martin. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? When you're coming into a match, you're expecting to win, you do end up getting 2-0 in front. What does he have to make sure they do in the second half to maintain the momentum?
Well, obviously the same again. I think their approach has been excellent, Arsenal. They didn't panic when they didn't score the goal early on in proceedings, even though they were dominating play. They got the scare when Johnson probably should have scored the goal, and strange enough, that probably gave them a bit of a lift in that sense, that they could have found themselves a goal behind. And as Scott mentioned earlier, it might have been different. Suddenly when Nottingham Forest might have something to hold on to. But overall, it's been a comfortable performance by Arsenal as a team. And some individual efforts by Saka, Martinelli have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And Aketa's goal.
Saka in towards the edge of the penalty area. Back heel from Ødegaard, almost came back to Rice, but it was intercepted by McKenna. Gibbs White trying to take it just from the edge of the area, but Havertz is there to win it back for Arsenal. They're keeping Forest penned inside their own territory on the right. Havertz has just peeled away, but Partey goes to the left instead. Jurrien Timber plays it further out the wide right hand side as Forest look at it, and they've pinched the ball now with Aurier, and then Martinelli's come back, nudged him off the ball and said thank you very much, I'll have that. And they're going to allow those to go as long as they're not over physical. Those little shoulder barges, those little win backs like that physicality is going to be accepted this season.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased it is, because that wasn't a foul.
Here is Havertz down the right side.
Absolutely brilliant play from Martinelli. Again, what you want from your wingers, not just be brilliant going forward, but help out your defenders tracking back, because it could have been a 3-on-3 situation there.
How poor was it from Aurier though? You've got to hold on to the ball there in those circumstances, haven't you?
Yes, you got to get your body there first, so if he comes through you, then it's a foul. But again, great play for Martinelli. They're bang on it, Arsenal. They really are, both offensively and defensively.
Brilliant from Partey to bring in Timber, despite the fact that he was under pressure. Timber gives the ball away. Partey's there trying to stop Gibbs White from getting hold of it. It's a bit of a rash challenge from Timber, and I think that was out of frustration actually of giving the ball away a couple of times in quick succession, and he'll be at least spoken to by Michael Oliver, the referee. In fact, he is going to get a yellow card here, Jurrien Timber. Started 47 of Ajax's 48 matches last season. He was 2 times a title winner under Erik ten Hag. In fact, ten Hag, I think, wanted Jurrien Timber to go to Old Trafford a year ago, and he was warned off by Louis van Gaal.
He looks to be in a bit of pain here as well with his knee.
Yeah, he sort of overcommitted with that tackle, didn't he? He was frustrated, and he's asked for the physio to come on. So he will have more than the 3 added minutes, and he's just hobbling off on this near side. There is another new rule now that if you get treatment on the field of play by a physio, you're not allowed back on once play restarts for 30 seconds. It's to stop those spurious non-injuries.
Again, I think it's decent. It's an effort again to try and tidy up the game and have more play.
Yeah, and there was a lot more ball in play time at the World Cup as a result of these actions being taken, so they believe that it's a good idea to roll them out universally. And there's a lot of a clampdown on behaviour in the technical areas as well. And Mikel Arteta was the first manager to be booked from a top flight game last week. When he was booked in the Community Shield, he did say, well, I can't change my behaviour in 3 days. He seems better behaved today, maybe placated by his team's performance.
That does help. You can actually settle down when you're 2-0 up and comfortable in the game.
Yeah, a little bit easier for Arsenal than it has been for Nottingham Forest.
I have to say though, Sam, look, I've been a player, I promise. I've never been a manager. I think players should be able to handle themselves better. I can only imagine the stress that a manager goes through, because you're not able to do anything, go on the pitch itself. You can make substitutions, of course, and tweak systems, Martin, but that must be really frustrating when you see certain decisions going against you. Yeah, but I think also, Scott, it depends on your nature. If you are actually like that, and Arteta it has been like that as a manager, and he's a jumper, he jumps around the technical area. I haven't a major problem with that at all, because I kind of used to do it myself. But I haven't a problem. It's when he starts to encroach and be halfway up the pitch, and then fighting with the officials beside it. I think that becomes a problem. I think that's where they were trying to clamp down. And do you think he's doing that consciously? That's a very good point. It's a very good point. Maybe we might have a discussion about that there. Okay, I think it's a good point. I think there's part of it is that it's that is in his nature. And there might be a part to think, well, if I do this often enough here, I can change the course of things.
Sets the tone for his team as well to show that he's competent. As the ball goes into play, once again, a free kick just short of the halfway line for Forest. Immediately it goes
up into the Arsenal penalty area. It's in the arms of Aaron Ramsdale, and Jurrien Timber, who has gone off now for treatment, is just being held over on the far side as Arsenal slowly but surely edge toward half-time. We've had nearly 6 minutes of added time now, after initially being allocated 3, and it's 2-0 after what has been a very comfortable, very dominant performance from Arsenal, who finished second in the table at the end of last season after a late drop-off. They have the ball inside their own half. Timber is back on, he has it at his feet, and they just keeping possession now, waiting for the half-time whistle, which Michael Oliver duly provides. They have not won the title for 20 years, Arsenal. No matter what happens today, that isn't going to change for a while, but with a full brimming, eventually eager Emirates, City winning last night, and the Community Shield in the bag, Mikel Arteta wanted a good start, and so far he has got one. Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0.
Sam Matterface, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, he's got exactly that good start that he was looking for, Mikel Arteta. As for Nottingham Forest, plenty to ponder in that half, plenty to think about. They haven't won away to Arsenal, or at Arsenal I should say, since a 3-1 win at Highbury back in 1989. Let's not forget they were out of the top flight for 23 years, of course, but how they would love to beat them again, like they did on the penultimate day of the last season. They beat them 1-0 at the City Ground. At the moment, though, this is all Arsenal. Absolutely dominant performance right now. Big 45 minutes, or it could be 50, it could be anything, couldn't it? Big second half to come. Either way, we'll have it after this. Hello there, this is Game Day Exclusive. We're at half-time at the Emirates Stadium in your first Saturday Premier League kickoff of the season. It's currently Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0, last season's runners-up, hoping to kickstart this season in style. They're doing just that. Goals from Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka. It could have been more, though, Nottingham Forest really with plenty of work to do in this second half to find a bit of creativity. This is Game Day Exclusive on Talksport, of course. Let's continue to look ahead to this weekend's Premier League of action now with Super 6. The pitch inspections are just taking place once again. They're just sort of sprucing things up for the second half. A few Nottingham Forest subs are on the pitch, just warming up ahead of this second half. It's been a brutal sort of opening 45, turned into sort of about 51, 52 minutes, didn't it, here in North London for Nottingham Forest. They picked up 8 points on the road last season. It was a terrible record, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better, as Adrian Durham mentioned there. I'm here alongside Scott Minto and Martin O'Neill. Sam Matterface, of course, on the commentary. Martin, what is your former club, your beloved club, going to do? And I mean, no, in Steve Cooper we trust, but this is a big job now.
Yes, absolutely it is. It's very much deja vu. Last season they had a load of away games. They could hardly pick up a point. As you mentioned, was it 8 points you said that they picked up during that time? That has to improve this season. But by the showing of the first half, it's not likely to, because they have never once been on the front foot in this game. They've had a great chance. It fell to them that Brennan Johnson probably should have scored. Outside that, it's been so comfortable for Arsenal. So comfortable. So what's Steve Cooper thinking about now at half time? He's obviously thinking about trying to push forward a wee bit. And I think there's also the fear, I suppose, he's thinking first day of the season, if I do that there, do I concede a third goal and maybe this just becomes an embarrassment? I actually think you have to forget about that. Really forget about that and go and try and get something out of the game. But spend the next 10-15 minutes, try and close Arsenal further up the pitch. That's the most important thing. Not allowing their centre backs to be able to go and play through midfield and don't have you know what it really boils down to? Sounds simple. Go and have a go. Yeah. Just have a go. Just don't let the game just disappear.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's almost started from zero, isn't it? They know that they're 2-0 down at the moment. They've really got a lot of work to do, but as you say, they've got to have a go. Let's see how they proceed then in this second half. It is going to kick off very shortly. As you heard, Martin O'Neill there is on co-commentary alongside Scott Minto. But first, let's hand you back to Sam Matterface.
Well, the last time that Nottingham Forest began a Premier League season with a victory was 1996. Kevin Campbell scored a hat-trick. They won away at Coventry. But the Forest fans have got used to losing on the opening day of the season. They haven't won a first league game of a campaign since 2017, and they're on the back foot immediately as Arsenal shoot from right to left in the second half in red-bodied shirts, white sleeves and white shorts, and Nottingham Forest in those white shirts with wavy light blue lines, light blue shorts and socks, defending the goal away to our left and attacking Aaron Ramsdale, who is in front of the Forest fans away to our
right-hand side. Arsenal won 5-0 in the Premier League at the Emirates last season, their joint biggest win of the campaign. Martinelli opened the scoring, followed by second half goals from Reece Nelson and Thomas Partey and Martin Ødegaard. They took the game away from Forest in that second 45, and Scott Minto, that's one of the things that Steve Cooper will be looking to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first, maybe Martin can agree or disagree here, but the first thing Forest need to do is make sure they don't concede again in the first 10 minutes. If they do, this could be 5 easily. And just push a little bit further forward. Again, Martin said you can talk about tactics for all the will in the world, but you need to actually have a go, step it up a little bit more. They're just sitting back, realising that they have come to a place where they're not expected to get anything, but they're playing like that as well. If Brennan Johnson had scored it could have been different. It didn't. What are you going to do about it? There are options for Steve Cooper on the bench going forward, but at the moment, just try and keep it to 2-0 for the first 5-10 minutes. Keep the ball a little bit better. Try and get a little bit further up the pitch and gain a little bit of almost confidence that way.
On a free kick in the right full-back position, Matt Turner will take it for Nottingham Forest. They'll kick it long and high up over the halfway line. That's got a bit of a sort of, now it's 2-0, a bit more of a sort of social club feel about the Emirates, doesn't it? It feels like one of those sort of Saturday afternoons out in the summer. Everyone going out and getting their drinks at half-time, their refreshments. I just saw a young lady with a great big hot dog dripping with onions and mustard and ketchup, walking down the corridor here and about to take a seat 4 rows from the front as Martinelli is fouled and a free kick is won by Arsenal.
Sorry, Sam, you just got loads of saliva.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bit like that. The half-time refreshments weren't as good as they usually are here, and I was a little bit jealous of that particular choice. Here is Partey on the edge of the area, played in by Ødegaard, moving down the right-hand side, and then there's a problem here for Jurrien Timber, who was pulled up after receiving the ball. You remember that he had a problem at the end of the first half and had treatment. He's lasted just 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the second half, and he has just collapsed under the weight of his own knee there, and Takehiro Tomiyasu is going to have to come on from the bench. He immediately went down on the floor, signalled to the bench, and their summer signing from Ajax is going to have to be replaced here. That doesn't look good, Martin.
Oh, that's really sad if that's the case. It is. He's just stepping into an Arsenal side. He'd be looking forward to this season, and then suddenly opening day of the season, he finds himself in trouble.
It looks like his calf popped at the back of his right leg, or it might be in the back of his knee. It might have been the back of his knee that he injured in that first half. But either way, he immediately signalled to the bench. A stretcher is coming out, and we've got an early delay at the start of the second half here, Scott.
Do you know what? It's so innocuous, isn't it? He's just kind of just twisted a little bit, turned, and you do it a million times in a game. The ball was coming to him, it was passed to him, but he literally just kind of stopped straight away, and that doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. And yeah, for someone who's trying to make a name for himself in an Arsenal shirt, who I think can do really well, there's competition for places at the back, but I'll tell you what, the way he played in the Community Shield plus today as well, he looks like he could well be a first teamer, but I think he might not be a first teamer for a period of time now, unfortunately.
Takehiro Tomiyasu about to come on. First up since March the 16th for him. Had a knee injury himself that cost him a place in the team at the end of last season. And a knee injury, it looks like the back of the knee is what's the issue for Jurrien Timber. On comes the Japanese international, and it will be a like-for-like replacement. He can play anywhere. Again, it's another one of those versatile members of the squad. That's really what's sort of been the centre of Arteta's recruitment policy over the course of the last year or so. Players that can play in a number of different positions that give you options.
Well, it does, and it's a great thing for a manager if the player is not just competent, but actually is very, very adroit at playing in a number of positions, particularly across the back four. If you've got a right-sided centre back who's comfortable playing, let's say right back and even pushing forward, as Partey seems to be, those things are a big added bonus.
Tomiyasu can play as a centre half and as a full-back, and that's a sort of trend actually that you might see develop over the course of the season. And certainly over last season you saw a lot more defensive-minded
defences, if this makes any sense to you. You might have gone through a period where wing-backs and full-backs were expected to get up the pitch and be involved in the attacking play a lot. Now a lot of central defenders are playing in those full-back roles and allowing the wingers to go and express themselves, and the central midfielders to sort of build up with extra numbers in the middle of the park. Here's Ødegaard slipping the ball out towards the left. Rice leaves it for Martinelli, moves up to the edge of the penalty area. Tomiyasu with a shot from distance, his first touch, driven low to the goalkeeper's right, and Matt Turner makes the save. He dispatches upfield, looks to release Gibbs White. Ben White was trying to jockey with him, didn't manage to hold him up, and then as Gibbs White comes back in field, Partey stabs the ball away to Saka, and Arsenal very quickly have possession again.
It's a really good play from Matt Turner there. He saw it, he saw the run. Gibbs White first of all showed strength and decent pace, but again, when you almost running at Ben White, either get him into the box where defenders don't want to be because you don't want to then make a tackle, or actually there were a couple of players over on this side but he should have played a better ball to, and in the end just gave the ball away. When they get in those positions, they've got to be better on the ball.
We will take you round the grounds with Adrian Durham at 3 o'clock. It's the first Saturday of a full programme in the Premier League and the EFL this season, and Adrian will be here as soon as we finish at the Emirates Stadium, where it is Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0. We're 6 minutes into the second half. Jurrien Timber's been substituted because of an injury. Goals came in that first 45 from Eddie Nketiah and from Bukayo Saka, and it's been very one-sided in this match up until this point. Mangala pushes Havertz in the back, free kick quickly taken and given from the centre of the field back into the heart of defence, and Saliba for Arsenal up to the left and Tomiyasu. Infield it goes to Martinelli, who drifts centrally. Partey, who started as a right back but has played predominantly as a central midfield player. Out wide it goes to Saka, teasing his way to the edge of the penalty area, takes on Aina, goes beyond him into the box, tries to get round him, and Aina actually does well to get a toe end on the ball as Saka threatened to escape from his grasp.
That was nearly brilliant play by Saka, nearly brilliant. He's a wonderful footballer to watch, a wonderful footballer just all told.
Away by Nottingham Forest, the ball played upfield down the left-hand side. Danilo tries to centre it, looking for Brennan Johnson. Arsenal deal with it again, pick the ball up, strolling now, swaggering in the summer sunshine. And there's a foul by Serge Aurier.
Do you know what Saka is as well? Again, we talked about how good he is going forward, how he helps out the defenders. He's quite old school in how honest he is. He got inside the box there was two players marking him, he got the other side, there was a slight touch, not enough to really go down, but I'd say at least 50% of Premier League forwards would have gone down and just asked the question to the referee, but he didn't.
Arsenal, like Manchester City, have started in a very good vein of form. Manchester City winning 3-0 at Burnley. We'll bring you all the updates tomorrow from Chelsea, Liverpool and Brentford, Tottenham. Tottenham starting live without Harry Kane. The new and extended Sunday session is on at 1:30. And I didn't get to mention it early in the first half, but the Premier League All Access podcast, a new podcast where Scott and I and Alex Crook will dissect all the big stories from the Premier League on a bi-weekly basis on a Monday and a Thursday, is available on the Talksport app wherever you get your podcast, with a big preview to the weekend, a big preview to the season, which is still available on the YouTube site, the Talksport YouTube channel. It's got loads of great content, including our preview, which came from Wembley on Monday. Bookmark it on your favourites. Here is Martinelli trying to spin in down the left channel, down the back.
It was Sunday.
It was released on Monday. Don't be pedantic. This is the kind of sort of nitpicking that happens when you spend too much time with one person, Martin.
You know, Crookie's not around, so
there's no one else to pick on, so you're going to go from there. Yeah, all very relaxed here at Arsenal, where it's 2-0. And Arsenal have managed to do this by dominating possession, keeping the ball well and giving very few chances away. But Brennan Johnson just putting pressure on Saliba, who rushed his ball back to Ramsdale, had to kick from inside the 6-yard box, and he spooned it out for a throw-in down by the corner flag. And a Nottingham Forest goal now would make the last half an hour interesting.
Martin, do you think that's what you said at half-time, exactly what Steve said? Look, actually, sometimes it's not about tactics, but just try a little bit harder, get stuck in a little bit more, because the second half has definitely been better than the first.
Well, you made a good point, Scott, about when you were talking about not conceding a third goal, because that would be obviously game over and it could be an absolute thrashing. But they have actually tried to step forward a little bit. Now, maybe that's because Arsenal are just so comfortable knocking it around a little bit and haven't caused mayhem.
Aina into the penalty area. It's chested down by Yates, who turns and swivels, hits the ball towards the goalkeeper, who saves. But he was in an offside position from that long throw after the second phase, and as a result of that, it is going to be a free kick away to our right-hand side.
Sorry, Sam, I was interrupting you there, but just Nottingham Forest, at least they're trying to push up a wee bit further anyway, which is good news for them, because why not?
Why not indeed? 2-0 the score, and Arsenal slowly building up from the back again. Saliba out wide towards White. Gibbs White is drawn towards him. Saka comes deeper. Arsenal players getting lots of touches of the ball and enjoying their football. It's Tomiyasu out to Martinelli. Rice, he popped back into Rice at some speed, Martinelli, and Rice did well to juggle with it. Martinelli apologises for the ferocity of his ball forward. Rice just peeled away from Danilo and was worked himself into a good pocket of space just over the halfway line, but Arsenal went the other way and didn't spot him, and it will take a little while before he is fully integrated into the setup of the team and, you know, the symbiosis of the team.
I don't know what that means, to be honest with you, Sam.
Just naturally absorbed into the way that they work.
Okay, thank you. Now, I think I'm probably a little bit harsh on Declan Rice. We can't expect him to be the Declan Rice of West Ham, because everything came through him. You know, he's actually, because he's such a good team player, he realises actually it's not about me today. I'm a small cog in this, and if we just keep us where I need to be positionally, we're going to win this game pretty easily. And he's not trying to be the star, not trying to justify a £100 million price tag, and that even more speaks volumes for the guy, in my opinion.
But it does come with pressure, doesn't it? Being a huge signing, being a poster boy for a new era, and you would have witnessed that throughout your career.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first £1 million player was Trevor Francis at Nottingham Forest, and he had to live with that for a while. But Trevor, once he settled down, once he scored a few goals, it wasn't a problem to him. And I think the same with Declan Rice. And the more players that are bought for around about that price, the less pressure will be on him as well too.
Apparently everyone's getting bought for that price nowadays.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
Here is Aurier into the box, and it's caught by Ramsdale. No updates yet on the Moises Caicedo situation. Alex Crook is down at Brighton today, and we'll keep you updated if anything emerges from that game this afternoon. That's where Adrian's basing himself. The ball is deep inside the Arsenal half with Thomas Partey at walking pace. It is warm out on the playing surface now. It's around about 23, 24 degrees pitch side. The sun is out, and Arsenal very much at this moment in time strolling through the game. 2-0 the score. Here is Tomiyasu just up to the halfway line. He isn't engaged at all. Nottingham Forest sitting off, allowing Arsenal to have the ball up to the halfway line.
It's perfect weather if you're an Arsenal player, because you just pass. It's not so good if you're a Forest player, because it's run, and it will tire them out. And I'm sure Steve Cooper, whether it be attacking wise or even in midfield, will have to make changes, because, you know, while Arsenal haven't created like 7 or 8 clear-cut chances, they've absolutely dominated this match, and Forest players can't keep this type of running up.
Rice wins the ball in midfield, then drops deep to play it out towards the right-hand side, still wearing that now well-associated number 41 shirt at the base of the midfield. Plays it out to Partey, then Ben White, and Arsenal now in that 3-2-2-3 formation as they look to try and bring the ball wide to the left. Tomiyasu on the halfway line, back into Saliba. Nottingham Forest, who got off to a slow start last season, just 4 points from the opening 8 games, getting off to a slow start here. Havertz, Partey, Rice made a good dart forward. Arteta a little bit animated on the near touchline in those graphite trousers and tight black top, as he sits back down now to watch Havertz moving into a right wing position. Gets it to Saka, and he slips as he plays it forward, and that's picked off over on the far side by Yates. He can't escape, and Ødegaard has picked it up now. Plays it infield to Martinelli, little swivel and turn. Ødegaard back into Tomiyasu. First time pass to Rice, left side. Now on to Nketiah, who's moved out towards this near touchline. Aurier nudges the ball out of play, and it's away for a throw-in level with the edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. We've hit the hour mark. Saliba bending the ball from halfway out to the wide right. Kai Havertz is another interesting one, isn't he? How he fits into this team and how many touches and how involved he gets in the game. A couple of early touches in the match, but not too much to write home about for the German. Missed some big chances last week. Saka into Havertz now, trying to turn, edge of the area, sets it up for Rice. He swivels and plays it wide. Martinelli faces up the fullback, moves into the box, tries to jink his way infield. Always going to be difficult because it was crowded as he moved inside, and Nottingham Forest stopping from going any further.
Yeah. No, I don't mean in the last couple of minutes, but just before that, Sam, at least Nottingham Forest have tried to close Arsenal down inside Arsenal's half. They've had 3 players up here, whereas before, in the first 15-25 minutes of the game, they would have just retreated. They have 3 players up here now at this minute, and they are trying to close down a wee bit further up the pitch. Not with phenomenal success, but at least they're trying.
Nketiah had his shirt pulled by Worrell. Partey, space for Rice, is emerging left side. Partey plays it down the left channel instead, and Nketiah had wandered into that, but so had a couple of Nottingham Forest defenders. And now they look to release Morgan Gibbs-White over the halfway line. Part of the successful England under-21 team in the summer at the European Championships. He keeps hold of the ball, takes it back to halfway as Coventry go 3-0 up against Middlesbrough over on, well, I think it's now on Talksport 2, isn't it? After being on the app earlier on, they put that on Talksport 2 now, so you can access that game from the Championship. Bit of a good start that for Coventry City. And Middlesbrough have had a terrible start to the season, and many people tipping them for promotion at the start of this campaign. And the producer rather pointedly whispered in my ear there, including Adrian.
I can't believe you've blamed it on the producer.
I can't believe
he didn't say anything.
I can't believe he tried to throw Durham under the bus there. It's a long season. It's a long season. Michael Carrick will do a good job there. Don't worry. He loves Michael Carrick there, doesn't he? We loved him as a player, didn't we all? He was a terrific footballer.
I played with Michael Carrick. Wonderful footballer. Great guy.
That was the season that West Ham finished. They finished? They nearly won the league, didn't they? When you were in that team?
No, he was too young then when we finished 5th.
Oh,
but
right.
he did come through finishing 7th, and unfortunately was part of the team where he went down. But incredible player, world-class player.
Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0 on Talksport with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle versus Aston Villa live today for £11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. Ball wide right with Arsenal, and Saka approaching the right angle of the penalty area now. Into Havertz and then on to Ødegaard. Ødegaard with a sort of lolloping run out to the right side, receives the ball secondarily, then comes back infield, sends it into Nketiah, lovely connection into Havertz, takes it beyond Bolly, and Bolly then dives in at the last moment and manages to nudge the ball away. And Saliba is a little bit too physical with Brennan Johnson. They'll win a free kick here, Forest, as they look to clear. That was another good example of Arsenal just clicking into gear. When they do click into gear, they can push that ball around at speed and find spaces.
Yeah, just Havertz hasn't been able to get a shot off yet. But this is an important game for Havertz. You know, it's start of the season for him. He has to try and win this crowd over, because I'm not so sure that he did that there at Chelsea. And now suddenly here he has to find something. But this is an opportunity today. Arsenal are 2-0 in front, comfortable in the match. You know what? If I'm him, I'm desperate to get a goal. I'm desperate. I'm going to try and do something. I'm going to do anything I possibly can in this last half hour to get a goal. I mean, obviously, excuse me.
Worrell down the right side, trying to get on the end of a really bolly flick on from a free kick. It goes behind and away and out for a goal kick to Arsenal. No trouble for Aaron Ramsdale. Yeah.
And if I was Arteta, I would try and keep him on the field. He might start to make some substitutions shortly, but even so, I would try and keep Havertz on, because it's important. It's important for me as a manager. If I pick this player, I want him to do well. I obviously want him to do well, and a chance for Havertz here to try and get a goal today when the team are comfortable.
Certainly playing in a deeper position than he did last week against Manchester City in the Community Shield, with Nketiah used as the point man today. And they should have Gabriel Jesus back sooner rather than later. One of the things that Arteta cited as a reason that Arsenal lost the title last season was momentum. Well, certainly they could get off to a brilliant start to the season, winning the Community Shield and putting 3 points on the board here. They've lost a little bit of momentum in the game, which has gone a little bit flat since they've taken that 2-0 lead, and their dominance has been
such that they haven't really had to break too much of a sweat. Here is Rice down the left-hand side, though, trying to up the ante. Plays it into the channel for Martinelli. It was a little bit asking too much of him. Aurier goes down, wins the free kick, and then has a little push out at Martinelli. And he has to be a little bit careful. Referee is being lenient, managing the situation.
Yeah, just on Kai Havertz, again, I agree with Martin. What was it, £64 million that was spent? He scored crucial goals for Chelsea, of course. The winning goal in the Champions League was the main one, but he never really cemented himself as, either a Chelsea legend or, a Chelsea regular. And sometimes flatters to deceive. It's his languid style. And he's certainly not a centre forward. I think he is a number 10 or sometimes just one of those wide players. While Gabriel Jesus is injured, it's really important for him to justify being in the Arsenal first team, and it's a great opportunity for him.
Saliba has been fouled by Brennan Johnson, who thought he was about to escape. The referee said that it wasn't acceptable, and a free kick has been given on the edge of the penalty area.
Scott, and I also think as well too about Havertz, regardless of him not being a prolific goal scorer, he still has to get his fair share in this team, and as you say, the more goals he'll get, the harder it'll be for the manager to leave him out of the side. And these are the things, he's got to try and aim for about 15 goals a season.
I think he's one of those players that does need confidence, and what better way than to be playing 2-0 at home, you're dominating the game, stay on the pitch and somehow find a way to get a goal.
Absolutely.
My question would be, when everybody's fit, would he be in your starting 11?
Here is Martinelli picking the ball up left-hand side for Arsenal. Back to Tomiyasu, and he plays it into Saliba. And once again, they look to build up Nottingham Forest with 5 defenders in a line, defending their goal away to our left, and then their sort of 3 midfielders and the 2 youngsters, Gibbs White and Johnson, are the ones that are the attacking outlets. Arsenal have won it back high on the edge of the penalty area. Havertz was the one who did that, and then Martinelli dispossessed by Bolly, and then Yates runs the ball out on this near side. It's going to be a throw in to Arsenal inside Forest territory. Wants the ball back quickly, Martinelli. Get it back quickly enough, and then eventually it's thrown in by Mikel Arteta. 23 minutes to go before the conclusion of the game, and Arsenal leading here. Saka, who scored such a brilliant goal, arcing it in from the right-hand side, moving it on his left foot and bending it into the top corner. It was terrific, it really was, and that moment standing out as the highlight of the game so far. Tomiyasu has replaced Jurrien Timber at in the Arsenal defence after the new signing was injured. A couple of changes incoming here for Nottingham Forest, and they are going to bring on Taiwo Iwonyi, who has a terrific goal scoring record recently. He's looking to do something that no other player has done since Dwight York, and score in 5 consecutive appearances. Ball out over on the right hand side. It's collected by Saka, and then moves up towards the edge of the penalty area. He goes out towards the right side, and it's shuffled behind and away for a throw into Nottingham Forest. And he might have gone out for a throw into Arsenal over on the far side. Yeah, interesting that statistic, isn't it, on Taiwo Iwonyi. He got the opener in each of his last 4 Premier League appearances. Only Dwight York has ever opened the scoring in 5 consecutive Premier League appearances. So if he can, I don't think it'll count as an opener if he comes on and scores here, because they've already got 2 goals. But if he gets the next goal, that's still some feat, isn't it, of being on the pitch during that situation. Certainly finished the season in fine form. Here's Ødegaard, who did 2, picking the ball up from the right throw in. He turns, gets it onto his left foot, tries to shoot it towards goal. It bounces off the defender, and then it's run away by Aurier. Danilo takes over for Nottingham Forest. He moves upfield, lovely bit of skill to take it beyond Rice, and then plays it out towards the wide left, and Gibbs White now collected by Mangala, who switches it to Ola Aina. Aina approaching the edge of the penalty area for Forest. A left-footed shot in towards the near corner, and Ramsdale wasn't certain. Took a deflection on the way through. I think that's gone out for a corner to Nottingham Forest. Their first of the game, Martin.
A bit better by them anyway, at least. And that just why not, Sam? I know that we've said this here that so often, just have a go. And it's at that stage at this moment where Arsenal are so comfortable that a goal at this stage there would unnerve them. There's no question about it.
Absolutely, and that's something that Steve Cooper is hoping to capitalise on with the introduction of Williams and Iwonyi here, as the ball is about to be delivered into the box by Morgan Gibbs-White from the far side. His left hand goes into the air. They're crowding Aaron Ramsdale's goal, and Rice has got to be careful. It's zonal marking. It goes in towards that near post, and Tomiyasu stoops and heads the ball behind. A second successive corner for Nottingham Forest. Yet to really have a shot on target in the game here. Trailing by 2-0 with 20 minutes to go. Another corner. This time Gibbs-White in front of those Forest fans will look to try and put it into a better area, I think, than the last one. Right-footed, it comes in. It's higher and in towards that near post, and it's missed by Ramsdale. Flashes to the 6-yard area, and it goes behind the way for a goal kick, and he gets away with it, Scott.
Great ball in, really was. The first one was a bit of a marker. The second one, it came in as so many players, Arsenal as well as Forest players around Ramsdale. He can't get anywhere near it.
He was having his shirt pulled quite badly by Scott McKenna there to pull him down.
Well, you know, VAR might well have got involved if it had gone in the back of the net, but it's been a lot better. But Martin was saying what you're looking for Forest to do to somehow get into the game. They're being a bit more aggressive without the ball. They're trying to play a little bit further up, so if they do win the ball back, they don't have to go 80 yards to try and get a chance on target. It's only 40 yards now, but they have looked better, you have to say, in the last 5 or 10 minutes. And again, you know what Martin said, 2-0, and they've been absolutely so comfortable. 2-1, players and fans around here will start to get a little nervous.
Nerves jangling. 2 changes then. Olorena off, also off Danilo, and on comes Taiwo Iwonyi and Nico Williams, who's gone straight out to play at left back. Nico Williams. So it'll be interesting to see how Nottingham Forest shape up now, and whether or not they push an extra body into that forward line. It'll be Iwonyi, I think, playing down the centre, and Johnson and Gibbs-White will now flank him, Martin, I think.
I think you're right, Sam. I think that's exactly what they'll do.
Gives them just a little bit more presence up top. Someone maybe who can hold the ball up and physically occupy the likes of Saliba and Ben White, who has the ball now inside his own half. They still have that flat back 5 on the halfway line. Ramsdale trying to clear, blocked by Brennan Johnson, and he's hurt himself in the process of blocking that shot, and as a result there's a delay to the restart, and he will now need just to be looked at to make sure he's okay. Water bottle thrown on for Ryan Yates, and he then drops that, spills it. Has he hurt himself as he slid there, Johnson? He's back on his feet now. Let's go round our grounds in the Premier League and get a quick preview. We are delayed here today, half an hour, because of the difficulty with ticketing getting into the ground. Eddie Nketiah is being replaced by Leandro Trossard, who was once at Brighton. Let's go to Brighton now, the Amex Stadium. Brighton against Luton, who are back in the big time for the first time since 1992, and Talksport's Alex Crook is there.
And a trio of debutants for Brighton: James Milner, Mahmoud Dahoud and record signing João Pedro all start. 6 of Luton's summer signings are in their starting 11: Kaminsky, Anderson, Kabore, Nakamba, Chong and Giles. It's Brighton against Luton.
And Goodison Park is the venue for Matt Jones and Trevor Sinclair, and it wasn't the best place to be in terms of entertainment last season. Will it be better this year, Matt?
Fans up here certainly hope so, but there haven't been too many signings for Everton this year. That hasn't alleviated fan frustration, and just one debut for Everton today. That's Ashley Young, who slots in at left back for Fulham. There's no Alexander Mitrovic. He's only on the bench amid speculation of a move to Saudi Arabia. Marco Silva, though, does hand the debut to Raul Jimenez.
Oh, the cupboard looks threadbare at Bramall Lane. Mickey Gray and Alan Briggs.
Yeah, 2 of Sheffield United's best players have been sold. Both these clubs, frugal spenders, Crystal Palace as well. The difference is those players Sheffield United have let go. A focus today on the new ones. Benny Traore starts. 4 signings are on the bench. Palace have new signing Jefferson Lerma in from the start in a line-up little change from the end of last season. It's 8 of the same team today. Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace.
Still 2-0 between Arsenal and Bournemouth live. Arsenal and Nottingham Forest live on Talksport. Down to Bournemouth in just a few moments. That's one of our featured games in the Sky Bet Championship. We're at Birmingham, at Watford, at Southampton, Huddersfield, Ipswich and Preston. We'll keep you up to date with that throughout the course of the afternoon. All the goals as they go in from up and down the country in the Premier League. Game day live returns just after
3 o'clock when we finish here. Arsenal have made a change with Nketiah coming off and Trossard coming on, and Trossard was the pre-season top scorer. He actually scored a late goal in the Community Shield last week. Took a little bit of a deflection, but it was a vital goal which helped Arsenal win the Community Shield on penalties. Here's Ryan Yates for Nottingham Forest as they get a little bit more confident the longer the game goes on. Williams takes it down the left, but immediately across goes Partey. Ødegaard brings it upfield. There's space to run into now for Arsenal, which is a worry. It's picked up by Saka. He floats it forward. Martinelli trying to get in behind Aurier. Aurier gets back at him. Martinelli twists him, plays it square. It comes to Ødegaard, edge of the area. It's out wide towards the right, and Havertz inside the penalty area now, trying to check it back into his left foot. Gives it to Rice, who hits the post. Drives the shot from the edge of the box, low towards the goalkeeper's left. It cannons off the upright and goes out for a corner. I think Turner got a touch on that.
Well, I think that it all came about because Nottingham Forest were actually stretched a little bit, in an attempting to try and get a goal back. The irony of it is that they left themselves vulnerable, and believe it or not, Martinelli has done brilliantly. They put the one across the box, and eventually Rice has had the shots hit the post.
Good opportunity for Arsenal in this second half, and Declan Rice showing that he fancies himself a home debut goal as well. 14 minutes to go. Talksport down to Bournemouth in just a second as the ball goes in from Ødegaard towards that near post. A little flick on, and it just bounced through fortuitously to Matt Turner. And Nottingham Forest immediately bowl it out. Turner up towards the halfway line. Arteta comes running down the touchline to try and encourage his team to get back. He's been told by the fourth official, Darren Bond, get back in your technical area. He does just that, and the ball runs over the halfway line. So new era at Bournemouth. New manager in the dugout. Iraola is the man in the technical area now. Here's Aurier into the penalty area. Across comes Saka, puts it behind and goes out for a corner. So what do we expect? Alan Bridge.
Well, two of Bournemouth's new boys start. Kirkers and Aarons. Solanke is also fit to start after an injury doubt. No new signings for the Hammers, but Areola takes over in goal. And Fornals replaces the departed Declan Rice. It's Bournemouth against West Ham.
Interesting to see what happens with West Ham United today. I was looking at some of the statistics from Iraola's time at Rayo Vallecano. We were discussing that on Premier League All Access, the podcast, Scott and I, about how high they like to press, the intensity with which that Rayo team pressed up the field and caused problems for some of the big boys. I wonder if Bournemouth will employ a similar system. Here is Gibbs White with the corner for Nottingham Forest, right side, trailing by 2-0 into the penalty area. A flick by Bolly came off the shoulder of Declan Rice, and Ramsdale just about caught it, Martin, but a little bit of moment of nervousness.
Oh, that was so close, so close. If Bolly gets a full header in that, it's in the net.
Martinelli has managed to get away from Johnson, but Johnson's done well to recover, and then taking the ball down the right side to try and take the pressure off Nottingham Forest. But it was a big chance that for Willy Bolly, wasn't it, Scott?
Massive chance. I mean, not quite as big as the Brennan Johnson chance, because he tried to go up and head the ball, and Rice did really well in the end. But yeah, we've talked about it. It's almost as if, Arsenal are just waiting for that final whistle to come. Very difficult to dominate the way they did for the full 90 minutes, but Forest not a million miles away from getting a goal.
Here is Saka down the right side looking for Ødegaard. Just pushed away over on that far side by Mangala. Saka just getting a little bit tired now, I think, over on that far side, having gone through quite a bit of running.
Can I rephrase that, actually? They look as if they're getting a bit more confidence and getting the ball further up the pitch. They realise now they have to go for it. Martin talked about the chance, the counter-attack that Arsenal had, but you're 2-0 down, you've got 12 minutes plus injury time to go. You get that next goal, and suddenly it is game on. Whereas if they just play how they played in the first half, then we're just seeing the game out to 2, or if Arsenal want to step it up, it's 3 or 4.
New signing Anthony Elanga might be coming on here for Nottingham Forest to replace Brennan Johnson, who has gone down inside the centre circle, having had an injury which robbed him of most of pre-season. Be interesting to see whether he's going to come straight off here to be replaced by Elanga. Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0 on Talksport with Now, and don't forget with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Aston Villa live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sport. Interesting time for him. Anthony Elanga did quite well under Ralph Rangnick, played a lot under Ralph Rangnick, but didn't really appear last season for Manchester United very often.
Absolutely, Sam. I thought he looked as if he had a career ahead of him there, particularly, as you say, under the under the stewardship of the what I would call the supply teacher, and at the time. But overall, I thought he had the talent. He just disappeared, and obviously he's not Ten Hag's favourite man.
Odegaard picks it up on the halfway, drives forward now, plays it out towards the left, almost got to Martinelli. There's a yellow card there for Mangala for tugging back, and then they play quickly down towards Saka, but they're not going to be allowed to get away with that. The referee's pulling it back, so the yellow card will have to be distributed, and the notes taken, and the free kick brought back towards the edge of the centre circle. But there was a break on for Arsenal, and Odegaard was just pulled back by Mangala, and that was one of those cynical ones that definitely deserved it.
No, it deserved it, but he still had an extra yard or so to play that pass. And again, Martin talked about the little dinker that he tried to do in the first half. Just play the ball over the top and let Martinelli run over the top and round the back of the Forest defence.
Havertz, Trossard, and then on to Odegaard once again, and then Partey, then out towards the wide right. Saka approaching the edge of the area, goes on the outside of Nico Williams, then stops the ball, delivers across into the centre, comes through Declan Rice on the volley, and it pops off the floor, hits into the ground, looks to be threatening to go over Turner, who springs up to his left and turns it round the post, and it's out for another corner.
Yeah, he's actually miscued that. I think he's tried to volley that one into the top corner, and I think he stubbed it onto the ground, but still nearly made it. Decent save.
Good opportunity that for Declan Rice, who did just get it slightly wrong, hit it into the ground, but Turner still had to make the save, and it's out for a corner over on the far side, and it's a corner for Arsenal as we approach the last 10 minutes of the game. It's 2-0 to the Gunners at the start of the new season. A left-footed crossing towards the near post. It hits the defender, who's rather... I don't know if he was too keen on getting involved in that with his head and ended up hitting his body, and it's half cleared by Nottingham Forest, who then race up the field, and it's sent down the left by Elanga, who's running into the box. He sends it centrally, Awoniyi's there inside the 6-yard box, and Nottingham Forest are back in it, and Anthony Elanga with a powerful run down the left-hand side has set up Taiwo Awoniyi to finish, and Nottingham Forest are back in the game. The Emirates is stunned, a counter-attacking goal. Moments ago Arsenal had a corner at one end, Nottingham Forest have scored at the other.
Well, we've been talking about it. It was an absolutely magnificent run by Elanga, magnificent, and every stride he was taking was going further away from the Arsenal players. He's flipped this ball across the box, it's a goal, and suddenly there's a game on here with what? How long have we got left, Sam? Who knows?
7 minutes.
How have we got a game on here?
I know.
This should be 3 or 4 really, but this is what always can happen when you're 2-0 up. I mean, people say it's a bad scoreline. It's not. Give me 2-0 every day of the week to start a game, but you can be lulled into a false sense of security. And it was brilliant because it wasn't just the pace of Elanga, but it was Awoniyi as well, who Ben White had to be careful with. So he dropped deeper to watch the Awoniyi run, which meant that Elanga was able to just make his run as well.
Well, they've got a threat about them now. Nico Williams has sent Elanga away once again, and he's centred the ball, and it's hit by Morgan Gibbs-White, and it's not too far away. And the Nottingham Forest fans over on the far side are starting to believe that there's something in this for them, and all of a sudden that relaxed social club sitting with a pint of beer in the sunshine atmosphere amongst the Arsenal fans has dissipated, and now all of a sudden they're a little bit angry.
I bet you the Nottingham Forest fans over in that far side are probably thinking, why were these substitutions not made about 10 or 15 minutes ago? But your point, I think sometimes you think, well, we're not going to get smashed now in the game, so maybe it's the time to put them on. But what a job they've done so far.
Yep. Well, 2-0 down. It's now 2-1, and there's only 6 and a bit minutes to play here on Talksport in a game delay because of ticketing issues. Arsenal firmly in control, absolutely running the show, and now all of a sudden it's Nottingham Forest who have got a threat and a chance in the game that they should never really have had. Problem here in midfield. Mangala has gone down, Arsenal play on, and they've got a number over. Martinelli picks it up, moves to the edge of the area, wasn't fouled by Ryan Yates. Referee says play on. Then Saka goes down, referee says get up. Rice continues, plays it square, Partey out to the right side, collected by Odegaard, everyone on their feet now. Havertz inside the area, right-footed shot from a tight angle, blocked by Worrell, bounces out to the far side, and Havertz keeps it in play. Odegaard, right apex of the penalty area, trying to turn away to get some sort of ability to get the cross in. Gabriel about to come on for Arsenal, who lead by 2-1, but this is not now as simple as it looked 5 minutes ago. Steve Cooper looking to get Chris Wood warmed up as well. as they go for an equaliser. 6 minutes to play, nothing ever certain in the Premier League. Welcome back, Tomiyasu gets a 1-2 with Martinelli, back into Martinelli, deflection from Mangala, bobbles back into the arms of Matt Turner, and all of a sudden we're in a basketball game.
We have a game on our hands, we have an atmosphere right here. You're right, everyone was sitting there just supping their beer, just enjoying it. Now, whether it's positive or negative, everyone has started to almost times it by 10 with the volume. And I don't know, you tell me, Martin, if I were Steve Cooper, I wouldn't change a thing.
Not at all, absolutely not. You're going forward now. Arsenal are actually on the back foot.
Sorry, Sam, just going to be interesting to see who Gabriel comes on for. Is it another
Martinelli?
There you go. That tells me exactly, very much on the back foot, and they want to try and see this game out now, which is incredible to be saying.
I think that means that Havertz will go up top, Trossard will come out to the wide left, Gabriel will go into the centre-half position alongside Saliba, White to right back, and Partey into midfield to stiffen things up alongside Rice. It's the kind of formula that you saw from Arsenal a lot last season. Throw in on this near side, Bolly to take in. He's got a big powerful throw, I think. Willy Bolly is going to launch this towards the edge of the penalty area. They're going to look for the second ball. 2-1 with 4 minutes to go. Thrown in down towards the right, away by Rice, back in by Mangala, up into the air by Yates, forward by Tomiyasu, one again by Forrest. Awonyi tries to centre it, and then there was a foul there on Yates on the edge of the penalty area by Trossard. The referee says no, play on, and then Havertz wins a header with Worrell, and the ball goes back through into the Nottingham Forest half, and it's picked up by Turner. Yates can't believe he didn't get a foul there on the edge of the box. He's complaining to the linesman on this near side. Forest have the ball inside their own territory. Worrell to Bolly, and then past the press and into Mangala. One back by Ødegaard though, does well, and then lovely skill by Trossard. Havertz, Ødegaard, back to Havertz inside the area, low ball in towards Saka, a little back heel through his own legs, and it's picked up by Matt Turner. Needed a more purposeful finish, Martin O'Neill. Here's Elanga on the right hand side though, picking the ball up for Forrest. He's made a difference with his powerful run into the box which set up the goal. Not a great pass forward, given straight to Partey, and it's back with Arsenal once again. 87 minutes gone. We're going round the grounds very shortly, live on Talksport. Mikel Arteta causing problems again on the near touchline, trying to get his team to stop from dropping deep, Martin.
Incredible to be saying that. It's absolutely right that Arsenal now find themselves without the ball for a start, can't seem to get it, and when they do have the little chances here, they're unable to put Nottingham Forest away.
Football, eh? What a game. So 2-0 and cruising, cigars out, everyone's having a lovely day in the sun. All of a sudden they bring on a substitute, Nottingham Forest. Elanga runs from one end of the pitch to the other, centres the ball to Awonyi. He scored for the 5th game in a row, by the way, for Nottingham Forest.
He called it.
And it's 2-1, and it's pressure for Arsenal to deal with right at the end of the game. 2 minutes to go live on Talksport. We'll bring you 450 of these beauties over the course of the season. Make sure you stick with us, we've got more football than anybody else. Here is Rice, deep inside his own half, across towards the right hand side. Anthony Joshua in action tonight as well. The boxing live on Talksport from 9 o'clock. Join us for that. The Sunday session from Stamford Bridge tomorrow, 1:30. Here's Rice again, deep inside his own half. Monday Night Football is Manchester United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Danny Murphy, Adrian and I will be at Old Trafford. Looking forward to that. What a cracking match that will be. Gary O'Neill in charge of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Here is Rice, Partey. Arsenal slowing the game down and trying to keep hold of possession here. Works wide, Saka takes it on, 2 inches from the right touchline, takes on Nico Williams, moves up deep into the Forest half, centres it, Ødegaard just holds on, plays it wide right, it goes towards Ben White, but it didn't reach it because Williams did brilliantly, and now he fires it up to Awonyi, who's got to hold the ball up here, and he does so well with his powerful frame, shrugs off White, then Saliba, and then the ball goes over the top for Elanga to chase, and Gabriel has to backpedal and clear towards the far side. It goes out of play. No, it doesn't. Awonyi holds on to it instead and keeps it in, but now forces the throw, and Steve Cooper just says wait, don't make those substitutions yet, not yet. We've still got a few minutes to go. Now they're going to do it. They're going to change. They're going to go to a back four, take off Worrell, bring on Chris Wood, throw another one up top, Martin.
Why not? You might as well go for it. You're in the ascendancy at this moment. Arsenal are in the back foot. Arsenal are a bit nervous, and so are the crowd.
Czech Koyate is coming on to replace Mangala in the middle of the park. They're going for it now. Arsenal fans being urged to get behind their team. But there is a tentativeness about Arsenal that hasn't been there all day, a nervousness, an anxiety inside the stadium as they kick it clear. They'll be more anxious now. 7 minutes of added time. Havertz has outpaced Bolly. He's got away from him. He's burst into the box. But Aurier has got back and hooked it clear before Havertz can pull the trigger, and it goes out on the far side, and it's away for a corner kick to Arsenal. Should he have got clear there, Scott?
No, I don't think so. I think it was great defending from Aurier there, just tucking round. Havertz did actually well getting past the first man, but yeah, in the end it was a 2v1, and I think good defending. Look, Forest have to be careful, but look, we're in the injury time now. We've got 6.5 minutes left, plus maybe that's a minimum, don't forget. They kind of just have to go for it. If they're left 1-on-1, so be it.
We might just be finished before 3 o'clock. The ball swung in towards the near post, headed away by McKenna. Back out to the far side, it goes out for an Arsenal throw. Might have been some suggestions of a handball by Kai Havertz as he brought it down and ran from the halfway line there, Martin. I don't know whether it would have counted had it gone in, but because it didn't, VAR can't get involved, so they get the corner anyway.
They got the corner, yeah, interesting, Sam.
Ball is down the play over on the far side. 2-1, 91 minutes, live on Talksport. And a strange end to the game that Arsenal had bossed for so long and all of a sudden now don't have control of. They lead and they may well get 3 points. Arteta coming over towards the near side and asking the fourth official a question. The ball thrown into the box but cleared by Nottingham Forest. Wood up towards Awoniyi. Did it go out of play? I think it did on that far side. It's away for a throw into Arsenal, halfway inside Nottingham Forest territory.
Look, Alanga made the run for the goal, but Awoniyi coming on I think has made so much difference. He's been able to hold the ball. He's got that strength as well as pace, something that Forest didn't have up until he came on the pitch.
Well, goals was such a big issue for them, but if you look back at the statistics from last season, they scored so many towards the end of the campaign, and Awoniyi being part of the team towards the end of the campaign made a huge difference to them.
20 minutes ago, Sam, you would have got long odds on Arsenal wanting the final whistle to be blown immediately.
Now they're craving it, they're hoping for it as we go into the final 5 minutes of stoppage time here at the Emirates Stadium. It was delayed, the start, because of a ticketing issue, but it certainly hasn't emptied as the game has gone on, because there is still jeopardy in the game, and that's the beauty of football, isn't it? The fact is, it's never over till it's over. Rice loses the ball, picked up by Wood now, 10 yards from the penalty area. He's given it away, and Trossard turns it over and charges upfield, fancies himself in a foot race with Koyate. Koyate goes towards him, but Trossard's going to get there first. Down the left-hand side, turns, fires the ball centrally. Ødegaard with Saka outside him. Ødegaard's going to hit it, and he tried to go for glory when the more sensible option was to take it out towards the right-hand side. And I think that's a little bit of naivety there from the captain, because he just stopped and turned and fired it to the right-hand side. Saka was waiting.
Absolutely agree, and you can see Mikel Arteta as the run that Trossard did, amazing run, really powerful, also showed his strength, passed it inside, and Mikel Arteta was saying, right, just keep it, calm down. He had the shot, Ødegaard, he didn't need to, but still Arsenal have got the ball where they want it to be, and that's deep in Forest half.
Brighton, Luton, Everton, Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, West Ham to come here as we go round the grounds in the Premier League, the EFL, Sky Bet Championship, League 1 and 2, and a full classified check with Adrian after 5 o'clock this evening. The phone in from 5:30 with Gabby Bonlahor and Jamie O'Hara. The Mark Goldbridge show later on tonight as well, before the boxing takes centre stage at 9 p.m. The perfect way to spend your Saturday. Talksport and Sunday too, and Monday and every other day of the week. Free kick. Almost like a short hockey corner for Arsenal.
Yeah, well, Havertz has just won the free kick, and they're going to keep this ball in the corner as much as they possibly can.
3 minutes of added time still to play. Arsenal keeping the ball in the corner to run the clock down.
At the Emirates.
Against the Nottingham Forest team, who were barely in the game for, 75 minutes? And Alanga has just won the ball on this near side. And is it going to be a free kick? It is here on this near side. And this is a free kick, a yard in from the right touchline, 12 or 13 yards out from the penalty area, and an opportunity here for a set-piece chance to create something for Morgan Gibbs-White. All of a sudden, those nerves that were starting to rattle are jangling amongst the Arsenal support.
One bit of quality here, and the Arsenal defenders are facing their own goal.
All right, Gibbs-White to deliver the ball into the box. There's a little bit of a connection inside the area. The referee says play on. It comes back to Koyate, who turns, swivels, hits the ball, and it goes out of play. And there's a problem here for a man on the ground. I think it's Saka, who feels he's been stepped on here. And it's going to be a free kick inside the 18-yard box to Arsenal. Well, first of all, he was pushed to the floor by McKenna, and then he was stepped on with the right foot on his shin, and he's not happy about that. Bukayo Saka, but it just delays proceedings a little bit more for Arsenal, who lead by 2-1, took the lead after a goal from Eddie Nketiah, a good bit of skill by Martinelli. Certainly came off, whether it was supposed to be like that or not. And then a goal from Saka of pure quality, no doubting the quality and the intent behind that. And then they settled into the game, they relaxed, they started to get their flip-flops on and their summer shorts and stroll around thinking that the job was done. But in the Premier League, the job is never done. And they've been pushed all the way to the 96th minute of the game, Scott Minto.
Sounds like you in Greece this week.
Yeah, the job's never done. Here is Yates trying to get away from the pressure, and he's won the free kick again from Declan Rice behind him, and the free kick given just short of the centre circle. Matt Turner's going to take this, and he's going to come right out of his goal, and he's going to launch this forward. They'll get it up to Bolly, who's gone through the middle. Awonyi's in there, Alanga, Chris Wood, all aerial presence. Koyate, who's come up and to cause a bit of chaos. It's aimed in towards the right-hand side. McKenna heads it down, but it's Ødegaard who picks it up, and now Arsenal can run it clear. Trossard on this near side. Plays it back to Tomiyasu. High into the air it goes. Runs down the left-hand side. 2-1 Arsenal lead in the game here. And it's sent back by Gibbs-White to his goalkeeper, who had to scurry back into his 6-yard box as it was heading into the goal.
Who's now playing centre-half, by the way.
Yeah. Goalkeeper's come out. Send it long, down the right-hand side. Bolly loses it. It's Oreo gets the connection on. Koyate gets there first. Arsenal second to it at this moment in time, but they've now won it back, and Havertz with a 4-on-3 situation breaks away for Arsenal. 97 minutes on the clock. Down the right side is Saka into the area. Havertz goes back into the middle. It goes back to Ødegaard, left-footed towards the far corner, over the top of the crossbar. Still 2-1. Martin O'Neill.
Well, that might see it through, but honestly, it seems crazy. But if I'm Arteta, I want Arsenal to run that ball into the corner flag. It sounds crazy to say that there with 2 minutes to go at the Emirates against a Nottingham Forest side that they had put to the sword in the first half.
It's not, Martin, it really isn't. Yeah. And again, they should have just passed it until the referee's whistle come. Now they're giving Forest an opportunity again.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Premier League. The entertainment never stops. They want the whistle. 97 minutes 49 seconds on the big clock. They won't leave, the Arsenal fans. Some of them have come up the gangway here and are just congregating over on this near side, waiting for that whistle to be blown. And there is a sense not only of joy but of relief, because Arsenal have gone over the line, a game they dominated, they had in the palm of their hands for so long, but Anthony Elanga and Taiwo Awonyi came off the bench to influence proceedings and turn the tide in Nottingham Forest's favour. Closing thoughts from Martin O'Neill.
Well, absolutely staggering, Sam. Staggering. A staggering last 15-20 minutes of the game. So comfortable were Arsenal. We were talking about perhaps maybe trying to get a third goal. They definitely went to sleep. There was a lot of careless passing going on when they were in decent positions. They looked as if they were seriously comfortable, no real problem whatsoever. And then suddenly Nottingham Forest make a couple of substitutions. Alanga makes an unbelievable run, considering it was Arsenal's corner kick. They get the goal back there, and Arsenal have finally hung on. They've hung on in a game that they were so comfortable in. As you said earlier, Sam, football.
I have never seen a game, I don't think, where one team's so comfortable for so much of it and yet so uncomfortable at the very end. But you know what? The bottom line is Arsenal got the win. 3 points.
Premier League box office. That's why the tickets are sold and the stands are packed. Eventually, we had a delay here because of ticketing, but in the end, it was a game that didn't disappoint, even if Arsenal were hanging on at the end. It finishes Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1.
Sam Matterface, Scott Minto and Martin O'Neill, thank you very, very much indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, despite that delay, what an entertaining game we've had here at the Emirates. Sam said it in commentary, didn't he? Everyone was so relaxed in that second half before those inspired substitutions from Steve Cooper, which turned this game on its head. An exciting closing few exchanges there in this match here at the Emirates. Nottingham Forest's woeful away record continues. Last season they picked up just 8 points on the road. It hasn't started well this season, but plenty of positivity to take from those final few moments in that game, because Nottingham Forest can play football and they've got a very decent manager at the helm as well, who'll surely be able to build on this throughout the course of the season. But the points today go to Arsenal. They are off the mark. They have their sights on that Premier League title. It's 20 years since the Invincibles began that campaign, unbeaten all season and winning the title with them right at the end. That is what Arsenal want to do, having come so near and yet so far last season. They are off the mark. 3 points for Mikel Arteta and his men. That's it for us here at the Emirates then. The 3 o'clock matches are now underway. Bournemouth versus West Ham United is live over on Talksport 2 right now, while here on Talksport we will be taking you around the grounds with all the goals as they go in the Premier League and the EFL with the fantastic, my colleague Adrian Durham.